And we're live. Hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, happy time zone, wherever you might be. Welcome back to Mass Effect, or, as you can tell from everything being incredibly orange on this screen right now, Mass Effect 2. Now with double the war crimes, at least. It's been a trip so far. As advertised, I've done a little bit of grinding off camera, just in terms of going around, scanning a few planets, getting some materials, as you can see by all these numbers having significantly gone up, and picking up, just making completion percentages go up. But now, we're back in our quarters, which is now looking even swankier, because we got the bed and the sound system and everything. It's still not as nice a bed as Miranda's. I don't know who approved the furniture here, but they should clearly pay me more respect. Also, we bought fish! We have fish in the fish tank! And I can feed them! You press a button and food comes in and they eat it. And as an aquarium owner myself, this makes me inordinately happy. Let's be real. They're very good fish. And you can get lots more fish. Also, we have a hamster! Which is currently hiding, which is the natural state of hamsters. But if you poke it, it comes out. Which is far more obliging than terrestrial hamsters. Okay, but it's run away. This is the... Why is there a button for use the toilet? I've got to press it. It just flushes it. Okay. I mean, I don't know what I expected, but... We have some swanky ship models that we bought. Because why just be on a spaceship when you can also have a lot of spaceships in your spaceship? And I seem to remember on our way down here, Kelly said we had an email, so let's check that out. Ah, I have many emails. So, let's read these first, because I've not got enough reading on the cards for today. Oh yeah, they definitely up their game with the pets. They're very good. So first up, thanks from Talitha. Yes, everybody remember the incredibly heavy bit in Mass Effect 1? Well, here's some follow-up on that. Shepard, I don't know if you remember me. I had a gun and you stopped me from hurting myself. My doctors say I'm doing better. One of them works with the people you worked for. He told me he could get a message to you. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't talked to me that day, but the doctors are helping me. I'm getting better. They put me in a special school, and they say I'm doing good. The doctors say that other people are getting taken like I was. I hope you can help them, like you helped me. Thank you. Tal. Well, just kicking off with the sad straight out of the gates. I can only apologise. But hey, at least after calling the Space Cops for an intervention, they actually have some decent mental health intervention in the future. Apparently. Although one of her doctors works with Cerberus, so questionable there. Speaking of catching up on Mass Effect 1 quests, thank you again from Samesh Bhatia. Remember, we got him his wife back? I mean, she was dead, but we did what we could. Commander Shepard, Mr. Adina offered to pass on a message for me. I wish to again express my thanks for your assistance in retrieving my wife's body. While nothing can ever banish the pain of losing Nirali, being able to see that her body was treated properly helped me more than you can imagine. I have opened the restaurant that my wife always wished to start back on Earth. Nirali's picture hangs on the wall, and Alliance soldiers eat for free. It's the least I can do to honour the courage with which both you and my wife have served humanity. Sincerely, Samesh Bhatia. Yes, this is the kind of thing that happens a lot through 2 and 3, where you'll get just little follow-ups on stuff you did earlier in a previous game, whatever. And it's nice to have these little narrative caps on them. You're not dead! From... I don't know why I said that quite so dramatically, from Emily Wong. Journalist from the Citadel on Mass Effect 1. You're alive? How come you broke whatever cover you've been under for 2 years, but didn't offer an exclusive interview to your favourite reporter? Whenever you come up for air and are ready to talk, let me know. Anyone. I don't think we like, not choosing not to or anything, just I literally don't think we get a chance to do that. Could be wrong. I've forgotten a lot of these games, as has become evident already. Speaking of NPCs from the first game, here's one from Shira. Commander, I thought that my gift of words had been incorrect, an embarrassing notion, but my contacts tell me you yet survive. I am pleased to hear that your journey continues, though I sense that you head towards an even deeper darkness. When you fought Sauron, only your resolve was tested, but now I fear you cannot rely only on your own strength. Take whatever steps you must to ensure that those battling at your side fight with clear minds and glad hearts. Be well, Consort Shira. I can't remember exactly what her gift of words was. It's just something about Shepard's kind of great destiny or whatever. You and Gareth are alive? From Dr. Chloe Michelle, ran the medical clinic on Citadel in the first game, if you remember. I shan't do the French accent. Dear Commander Shepard, I was relieved to hear that you were alive. I was devastated to hear of the destruction of Normandy and those people who didn't make it off in time. After you went missing and were presumed dead, I feared I'd never see you or Gareth ever again. You and he did so much to help clean up the wards when you were hunting for Sauron. The galaxy needs more people like you, and I'm glad that you're still here to protect those of us who've grown to depend on both of you. Is Gareth with you again by any chance? After being so happy to hear of your survival, I wondered if perhaps he might have ended up with you. I left a few messages on his public accounts, but you know how he is about checking his mail, and I don't think the com address I had for him works anymore because he hasn't returned any calls. Always so busy on his grand crusades, great passions, that he focuses on them to the exclusion of anything or anyone else. Anyway, if you know where he might be, I would really love to hear from him. Or both of you could come by the next time you're on the Citadel. Thanks, Chloe Michelle. Again, we literally will not be able to do that because there's a lot less Citadel in this. And take care of Gareth from Nala Butler. I don't know who that is. Commander Shepard, my husband was one of the men serving on Gareth's team. Okay, that's who it is. I don't know how much Gareth talked to you about what happened, so I don't know the specifics myself. Only that my husband died in a trap set by those bastard gangs. I know Gareth blamed himself. He took every shot fired at his squad as a failure on his part, and it was clear when he sent me the message about my husband that he thinks it was his fault. My husband would never have wanted that. He was proud of the work he did on Gareth's squad. He was taking back Omega from the gangs. He died fighting with honor. I miss him. God, I'd give anything to get him back. But whatever happened there wasn't Gareth's fault. You're his commander now. Please, if you can, help him stop blaming himself. And please, don't tell him that I sent you this. Thank you. Nala Butler. Also, that sound meant I haven't muted the rest of my computer. 1 second. And there we go. I've clearly got the system going on where it's you can forget one piece of stream setup exactly, like remember everything else, but every time you will forget one piece of stream setup. Which one will it be? Who can say? In this case, it was stopping you hearing my Facebook messages. So those are my emails. So that's all the reading for now, right? Hell no. Oh, also, I quickly wanted to look at, because I got some new armor, didn't I? Yes, I did. Because I picked up new stuff here, didn't I? Oh yeah, I've got just a basic visor, increases headshot damage, it's good for snipering. What does the sentry interface do again? It's just shield strength, I think I was mostly taking it for the aesthetic. Yeah, if I take the visor, that will help my sniping and look good, and mean that my face isn't covered all the time. Aegis Vest, health plus 5, torso sheath, lots more stuff. Spare armor capacity increased, or weapon damage and melee damage and shields. Yeah, that's probably better. Probably. Legs, life support weapon, health plus 10, or shields plus 8 heavy weapon damage capacitance for... Actually, yeah, I think we have life support weapons better. I mean, it looks worse, but I'll go for function over aesthetics just this once. Cool. But yes, as I say, that is not all the reading today, because it's Saturday, which means I read a book about space. I am going to sit here, and I am going to read the whole codex, because all of it is new, obviously, because we're in a new game. So I'm going to hit all of it, or at very least as much as I can in the next 3 hours. It took us like an hour and 3/4 the first time, so buckle in, I guess. Yes, some of it will be the same as before on account of this is still the same world, but I'm gonna obviously cover everything because there might be people watching this that didn't watch the first game. But also some of it will have changed on account of it's been 2 years in-game. So let's see what's happening. And hopefully this won't try and talk over me because I think I've got the sound settings right. So first up, council races. Yeah, cool, it's not talking. The Asari. The Asari were the first species to discover the Citadel. When the Solarians arrived, it was the Asari who proposed the establishment of the Citadel Council to maintain peace throughout the galaxy. Since then, the Asari have served as the mediators and centrists of the Council. An all-female race, the Asari reproduce through a form of parthenogenesis. Each Asari can attune her nervous system to that of another individual of any gender and of any species to reproduce. This capability has led to unseemly and inaccurate rumours about Asari promiscuity. Also, that's not what parthenogenesis means. Like, by definition, if you're doing it with another person, that's not parthenogenetic anymore. Words mean things, BioWare. Asari can live for over 1,000 years, passing through 3 stages of life. In the maiden stage, they wander restlessly, seeking new knowledge and experience. When the matron stage begins, they meld with interesting partners to produce their offspring. This ends when they reach the matriarch stage, when they assume the roles of leaders and counselors. The second species to join the Citadel, the Solarians are warm-blooded amphibians with a hyperactive metabolism. Solarians think fast, talk fast, and move fast. To Solarians, other species seem sluggish and dull-witted. Unfortunately, their metabolic speed leaves them with a relatively short lifespan. Solarians over the age of 40 are a rarity. The Solarians were responsible for advancing the development of the primitive Krogan species to use as soldiers during the Rachni Wars. They were also behind the creation of the genophage bioweapon the Turians used to quell the Krogan rebellions several centuries later. Both of which are crimes against sentience, but hey. Solarians are known for their observational capability and non-linear thinking. This manifests as an aptitude for research and espionage. They're constantly experimenting and inventing, and it's generally accepted that they always know more than they're letting on. And the other one. Why aren't humans listed under council races? We did a whole thing. Roughly 1200 years ago, the Turians were invited to join the Citadel Council to fulfill the role of galactic peacekeepers. The Turians have the largest fleet in Citadel space, and they make up the single largest portion of the Council's military forces. As their territory and influence has spread, the Turians have come to rely on the Solarians for military intelligence, and the Asari for diplomacy. Despite a somewhat colonial attitude toward the rest of the galaxy, the ruling hierarchy understands they would lose more than they would gain if the other 2 races were ever removed. Turians come from an autocratic society that values discipline and possesses a strong sense of personal and collective honour. There is lingering animosity between the Turians and the humans over the First Contact War of 2157, which is known as the Relay 314 incident to the Turians. Officially, however, the 2 species are allies, and they enjoy civil, if cool, diplomatic relations. And some extinct races. The Protheans. 50,000 years ago, the Protheans were the only spacefaring species in the galaxy. They vanished in a swift galactic extinction. Only the legacy of their empire remains. They're believed to have built the mass relays and the Citadel, which have allowed numerous species to explore and expand throughout the galaxy. Now, it's interesting, because like I say, some of this will have changed because it's been 2 years. But at the same time, like, one of the things you'd think would have changed is we don't, like, it was the Reapers that built all of those, which we pretty much know at this point, and the Protheans just used them. Or at least, I guess, so Sovereign claims. Could have been lying, but I doubt it. Prothean ruins are found on worlds across the galaxy. While surprisingly intact for their age, functioning examples of Prothean paleotechnology are rare. Time and generations of looters have picked their dead cities and derelict stations clean. Some believe the Protheans meddled in the evolution of younger races. The Hanar homeworld of Karjay, for example, shows clear evidence of a former Prothean occupation. The presence of a former Prothean observation post on Mars has caused a rebirth of interventionary evolutionists among humans. These individuals believe the god myths of ancient civilizations are misremembered encounters with aliens. Yep, we know those people. I'm not saying. Gotta keep hydrated. Non-council races. The Batarians. In the early 2160s, the Alliance began aggressive colonization of worlds in the Skyllian Verge, much to the dismay of the Batarians who have been developing the region for several decades. In 2171, the Batarians petitioned the Council to declare the Verge a zone of Batarian interest. The Council refused, however, declaring unsettled worlds in the region open to human colonization. In protest, the Batarians closed their Citadel embassy and severed official diplomatic relations with the Council, effectively becoming a rogue state. They instigated a proxy war in the Verge by funneling money and weapons to criminal organizations, urging them to strike at human colonies. Hostilities peaked with the Skyllian Blitz of 2176, an attack on the human capital of Elysium by Batarian-funded pirates and slavers. In 2178, the Alliance retaliated with the Prussian assault on the moon of Tortham, long used as a staging base by Batarian-backed criminals. In the aftermath, the Batarians retreated into their own systems and are now rarely seen in Citadel space. Yet their own systems, which you decided were just ripe for colonization. Never seen that happen before. Ooh, thing that's definitely new, because they were never mentioned in the first game, the Collectors. And again, they look cool. Living beyond the Omega-4 mass relay and the Terminus systems, the mysterious Collector species is glimpsed so rarely as to be taken for a myth by most in galactic society. In reality, Collectors are human-sized insectoid bipeds and can resemble massive winged beetles. They're a terrifying force in the galaxy, responsible for the murder of hundreds of thousands. Collectors generate permanent stasis fields around themselves, creating nightmarish red-shifted energy fields. In battle, they hold position whenever possible, relying on their aggressive biotics and nearly limitless power. Several types of bipedal Collectors have been identified, including minions, defenders, zealots, assassins, and artillery operators. Acting together, Collectors have imprisoned entire cities in stasis. While no definitive forensic accounting exists to explain the fate of those imprisoned, leading speculation is that victims are harvested for scientific experimentation and neurobiological repurposing. So yes, these are the big bads in this game. But more importantly, the Alcor. The Alcor are a Citadel species native to the high-gravity world Dakuna. They're massive creatures, standing on 4 muscular legs for increased stability. Alcor moves slowly, an evolved response to an environment where a fall can be lethal. This has coloured their psychology, making them deliberate and conservative. Everybody loves EvoPsych. Not a completely useless field at all. Alcor speech is ponderous and monotone. Among themselves, scent, slight movements, and sub-vocalized infrasound convey shades of meaning that make a human smile seem as subtle as a fireworks display. Since their subtlety can lead to misunderstandings with other species, the Alcor often go out of their way to clarify whether they're being sarcastic, amused, or angry. Dakuna's high gravity impedes mountain formation. Most of the world consists of flat, open plains, which prehistoric Alcor wandered across in small family bands. Modern Alcor still prefer open sky, and can become restless and uncomfortable on long starship journeys. Yeah, a lot of this is just word for word out of the first game. Just like I remember saying this before. The Geth. The Geth are a humanoid race of networked AIs. They were created by the Quarians 300 years ago as tools of labour and war. When the Geth showed signs of self-evolution, the Quarians attempted to exterminate them. The Geth won the resulting war. This example has led to legal, systematic repression of artificial intelligences in galactic society. Not a good thing. The Geth possess a unique distributed intelligence. An individual has rudimentary animal instincts, but as their numbers and proximity increase, the apparent intelligence of each individual improves. In groups, they can reason, analyze situations, and use tactics as well as any organic race. Geth space is located at the trailing end of the Perseus arm, beyond the lawless Terminus systems. The Perseus Veil, an obscuring dark nebula of opaque gas and dust, lies between their space and the Terminus systems. Everybody's favourite jellyfish? The Hanar are a citadel species known for excessive politeness. They speak with scrupulous precision and take offence at improper language. Hanar that expect to deal with other species take special courses to help them unlearn their tendency to take offence at improper speech. All Hanar have two names. The face name is known to the world. The soul name is kept for use among close friends and relations. Hanar never refer to themselves in the first person in conversation with someone they know on a face name basis. To do so is considered egotistical. So instead they refer to themselves as this one, or the impersonal it. Their homeworld, Kajay, has 90% ocean cover and orbits an energetic white star, resulting in a permanent blanket of clouds. Due to the presence of Prothean ruins on the world, many Hanar worship them, and Hanar myths often speak of an elder race that civilized them by teaching them language. Just doing a colonialism on yourself in your own religions. There's parallels, I suppose, but I don't really want to start thinking of them as cargo cult jellyfish. The Krogan. The Krogan evolved in a hostile and vicious environment, until the invention of gunpowder weapons, eaten by predators, was still the number one cause of Krogan fatalities. Afterwards it was death by gunshot. When the Solarians discovered them, the Krogan were a brutal, primitive species, struggling to survive a self-inflicted nuclear winter. Again, I'm pretty sure we went through this last time, but there's so much to unpack there. Can you just be like, well, these are but a brutal, primitive, barbarian species when they have nuclear technology? Like, at that point, they're clearly a civilization that on their own and be allowed to do their thing, surely, without, again, colonialism. The Solarians culturally uplifted them, teaching them to use and build modern technology so they could serve as soldiers in the Ragnar War. Liberated from the harsh conditions of their homeworld, the quick-breeding Krogan experienced an unprecedented population explosion. They began to colonize nearby worlds, even though these worlds were already inhabited. The Krogan rebellions lasted nearly a century, only ending when the Turians unleashed the Genophage, a Solarian-developed bioweapon that crushed all Krogan resistance. Still, the worst thing. The Genophage makes only 1 in 1,000 pregnancies viable, and today the Krogan are a slowly dying breed. Understandably, the Krogan harbour a grudge against all other species, especially the Turians. Yeah, again, they do go into some of it, I think especially in this game. I think it's this game, it might be the next one, but they do go into the Krogan thing more, but even so, it's just, yeah. War crimes. The Quarians. Driven from their home system by the Geth nearly 3 centuries ago, most Quarians now live aboard the Migrant Fleet, a flotilla of 50,000 vessels ranging in size from passenger shuttles to mobile space stations. Home to 17 million Quarians, the flotilla understandably has scarce resources. Wow, words. Because of this, each Quarian must go on a rite of passage known as the Pilgrimage when they come of age. They leave the fleet and only return once they've found something of value they can bring back to their people. Other species tend to look down on the Quarians for creating the Geth, and for the negative impact their fleet has when it enters the system. This has led to many myths and rumours about the Quarians, including the belief that underneath their clothes and breathing masks, they're actually cybernetic creatures, a combination of organic and synthetic parts, which is much cooler than what turns out to be the truth. The Reapers. just like the council, going in front of the council and being, once again, like, but the Reapers, though. A myth, okay, what? Common to several cultures in the galaxy, Reapers were imagined to be space monsters who consumed entire stars. Archaeologists and mythologists attempting to uncover sources for such myths have yielded little, except in stellar religious themes of all-consuming devils common to primitive cultures. Again, weirdly culturally judgy. Also, archaeologists and mythologists couldn't find evidence, and that's literally their job. I was just like, not even a space cop at that point. I just had a gun and a train, and yet. The Volus. The Volus are a member species of the Citadel with their own embassy, but they're also a client race of Futurians. Centuries ago, they were voluntarily absorbed into the hierarchy, effectively trading their mercantile prowess for Futurian military protection. Irune, their homeworld, lies far beyond the normal life zone of its star. However, that world has a high-pressure greenhouse atmosphere that traps enough heat to support an ammonia-based biochemistry. As a result, the Volus must wear pressure suits and breathers when dealing with other species, as conventional nitrogen-oxygen air mixtures are poisonous to them, and in the low-pressure atmospheres tolerable to most species, their flesh will actually split open. Volus culture is tribal, bartering lands and even people to gain status. This culture of exchange inclines them to economic pursuits. It was the Volus who authored the Unified Banking Act, and they continue to monitor and balance the Citadel economy. Once again, having an entire race of bankers. Yeah, that's never had bad implications. Again, it's just biological essentialism all over the place. Just every race has a character, apart from humans, because humans are special because they wrote this game. And the Vorcha, who we didn't really meet in the first game. Although they resemble a mammal-reptile cross, the Vorcha have no terrestrial analogue. They're humanoid in form, but Vorcha have clusters of non-differentiated neoblast cells, like those of Earth's planarian worms. Damaged Vorcha cells mature into specialized structures to alleviate injury or stress. Transformations include thicker skin following injury, lung adaptation for barely breathable atmospheres, and stronger cardioskeletal muscle under high gravity. Skull capacity and brain size do not change, and Vorcha rarely make more than one somatic overhaul. Vorcha assault each other frequently, causing their young to gain strength, intelligence, and resilience. As a result, Vorcha see inflicting and receiving pain as normal communication. Few Vorchas study professions, in part because their average life expectancy is only 20 years. Because Vorcha can eat and breathe nearly anything, they can live almost anywhere, but racism prevents them from integrating into most societies that dismiss them as vermin. They have few employment options beyond Krogan mercenary bands. And again, BioWare, you've mentioned racism, which I guess is an improvement because throughout the whole first game, racism was all just implicit. But at the same time, you've created a race of short-lived criminal space goblins. So you can't call the wider galactic society out for racism when you did the racism originally. Like, you invented the racism, it is literally your fault. And that's all of those. God, there's a lot of this. Told you to buckle in. The Citadel, Galactic Government. The Citadel is an ancient deep space station, presumably constructed by the Protheans, or not. Since the Prothean extinction, numerous species have come to call the Citadel home. It serves as the political, cultural, and financial capital of the galactic community. To represent their interests, most species maintain embassies on the Presidium, the Citadel's inner ring. The Citadel Tower, in the centre of the Presidium, holds the Citadel Council Chambers. Council affairs often have far-reaching effects on the rest of the galactic community. 5 arms, known as the Wards, extend from the Presidium. Their inner surfaces have been built into cities populated by millions of inhabitants from across the galaxy. The Citadel is virtually indestructible. If attacked, the station can close its arms to form a solid, impregnable shell. For as long as the station has existed, an enigmatic race called the Keepers has maintained it. Yet again, like, that doesn't cover any of the stuff that happened at the end of the first game or in the last 2 years. So I'm, like, presuming what they're going for is this is written from an external perspective that isn't Shepard. But at the same time, it's a weird choice. Spectres. Spectres are agents from the Office of Special Tactics and Reconnaissance, and answer only to the Citadel Council. They're elite military operatives granted the authority to deal with threats to peace and stability in whatever way they deem necessary, because, again, that's a brief that never goes badly. They operate independently, or in groups of 2 or 3. Some are empathetic peacekeepers, resolving disputes through diplomacy. Others are cold-blooded assassins, ruthlessly dispatching problem individuals. All get the job done one way or another, often operating outside the bounds of galactic law. See, outside the bounds of galactic law makes it sound cool and, like, heroic or something. Whereas what they mean is wildly illegally. The Spectres were founded after the Solarians joined the Council. For many years they operated in secrecy as backroom problem solvers. Only after the Krogan rebellions did their activities become publicised. Assignment of a Spectre is less contentious than a military deployment, but makes it clear that the Council is concerned about a situation. I'm really confused as to how the deployment of a heavily armed, entirely above the law Maverick cop is somehow less of a problem than sending in the regular military, who in theory have rules. But hey, that kind of thinking is just why I haven't done as many war crimes as people in this game. Humanity and the Systems Alliance. A political economic pact for collective colonial security, the Alliance is the central galactic institution for human society. The Alliance gained associate Wow, I cannot read today. It doesn't bode well. The Alliance gained associate membership to the Citadel Council in 2165, full membership in 2183, with Ambassador David Anderson representing humanity. We did that. Human political economic relationships vary between combative and lucrative. The Turians who had fought humans during the 2157 First Contact War have become valuable trade partners despite residual social hostility. Other relationships are even more complicated. The rapid rise of human political influence on the Council, achieving in decades what others waited or are still waiting for centuries to acquire, has galvanized suspicion and resentment against humanity. That negativity is vastly outweighed by the respect and trust humanity earned by saving the Council during the 2183 attack on the Citadel, at the cost of Alliance cruisers Cairo, Cape Town, Emden, Jakarta, Madrid, Seoul, Shenyang, Warsaw, and their 2,400 crew. As we shouted at that reporter. Or, I don't know, shouted. Declaimed. Organisations. Oh hey, let's talk about Cerberus. Immediately following the First Contact War, an anonymous extranet manifesto warned that an alien attempt at human genocide was inevitable. What has ever started that's good with an anonymous online manifesto? Once you are publishing anonymous online manifestos, it's worth stepping back and seeing if you might be neo-Nazis. Just putting it out there. The manifesto called for an army, a Cerberus, to guard against invasion through the Charon Relay. Derided as survivalist rhetoric written by an elusive man, who would actually say that? And also, like, elusive with an I is a word, but I'm never sure if they're actually using it for what it's meant to be, or they think they're saying elusive with an E. The manifesto and its anonymous author soon fell off the media radar. But in 2165, terrorists stole antimatter from the SSB Geneva. The sole figure arrested named his sponsor Cerberus. Throughout the 2160s and 2170s, alleged Cerberus agents assassinated politicians, sabotaged starships bearing Gizo, and conducted nightmarish experiments on aliens and humans. Denounced as human supremacist, Cerberus calls itself human survivalist. And if you find yourself having to hide behind, like, fancy wording to avoid being called a supremacist, it's maybe worth checking if you're a neo-Nazi. Again. I'm getting a few tiny little red flags here. Just little flag. Nothing to worry about, I'm sure. Counter-terror experts speculate Cerberus may have changed leadership with its recent shift to stockpiling ships, agents, and weapons. Whether he, she, or they, the elusive man hides his finances behind shell companies. Few doubt he will kill anyone attempting to expose him. Also, I love how it's whether he, she, or they, and then we will just use he pronouns, continue to use he pronouns throughout. We don't know what his pronouns are, but we'll assume he's a dude. Just cuz. But hey, speaking of the elusive or possibly elusive man, but probably not elusive. The reclusive tycoon calling himself the elusive man is a human nationalist, focused on advancing human interests whatever the cost to non-humans. That is literally the definition of supremacism. The Citadel Council regards him as a fanatic, posing a serious threat to galactic security, and they're right. A mysterious maverick, to say the least. Again, you're making it sound cool. The elusive man heads the Cerberus network. Dubbed the Elusive Empire by investigators because they needed a title for their next book. Subtlety, their name is Mass Effect. You're not wrong. Cerberus is an allegedly untraceable syndicate of private intelligence agencies, biotics laboratories, engineering and scientific research teams, and lucrative front companies. Branded a terrorist and seditionist organization by authorities, because they are, Cerberus is the only human power base other than the Terra Firma Party, who are also weirdly racist, strong enough to embarrass, if not threaten, the Council and its human representatives. This is a classic thing of the right can gain power because they all agree on enough, whereas something leftist infighting. Or am I just reading that into that? Who can say? But let's talk about some places. This came out a couple of years after Palin was calling herself a maverick VP candidate. Yeah, oh god, it did. That's a combination of events that raises some other questions. But the places we've been. Freedom's Progress, where we were briefly and we had like a tutorial boss fight. Freedom's Progress colony was once a typical Alliance settlement, but following complete communications blackout and its apparent destruction, is now a lightning rod for anxiety and dread in the galactic human community. The communications blackout followed an upgrade of the colony's small military force, supplemented by mechs and security drones, with high-powered, tower-mounted Guardian lasers. Colonists complained about construction cost overruns, delays, noise, and damage to the local environment. They also feared the defense array could be seen as provocative to the world's neighbours. Such fears may not have been blameless. Authorities have still offered no explanation for the communications blackout, fueling rumours of plagues, natural disasters, or a cult-inspired mass suicide. Located in strategically insignificant space, Freedom's Progress colony had once offered residents spectacular rainbows, lush marshlands, and stunning mountain ranges. Its potential as an agricultural settlement and tourism wonderland rivaled that of any Alliance colony. Why do you have a paragraph just like out of the tourism leaflets at the end here? Honestly, they might have based these human supremacists on the Tea Party. Yeah, it fits. It definitely fits. Omega, aka the cool place. Still just baffled that Cerberus are apparently so secretive and mysterious when their symbol is all over their clothes. Yeah, it's just, they cannot go without putting their logo somewhere for more than about 12 seconds at a time. But they're still mysterious and elusive. Or possibly elusive. Possibly elusive. I'll stop doing that joke eventually. Omega, where the cool people live. Originally an asteroid rich in element 0, Omega was briefly mined by the Protheans, who eventually abandoned it due to its thick, impenetrable crust. Thousands of years later, nature did what even the Protheans could not. A collision with another asteroid broke Omega in half, exposing its trove of element 0 for easy mining. That seems like something the Protheans could have done, just throw an asteroid at it. It seems very much within the reach of their technology. A rush ensued as corporations and private individuals tried to strike it rich on Omega, and thieves and outlaws followed in their wake. As space became tight, construction and processing facilities extended vertically from the asteroid, creating Omega's jellyfish-like silhouette. To prevent future collisions, the station is ringed with enormous mass effect field generators that redirect incoming debris. Today, Omega is a major hub of narcotics, weapons, and ezo-trafficking, without even a pretense of civilian government or military control. Only mercenary groups have been able to instill limited order. The most ruthless is an Asari syndicate run by the notorious Arya Tloke, who, frankly, we stan. In case you hadn't got that yet. Ships and vehicles. The Normandy SR-1, RIP, or one out. The Systems Alliance space vehicle Normandy is a prototype starship created as a joint human and Turian venture. A frigate optimized for reconnaissance missions, the vessel uses state-of-the-art stealth technology. Most ships generate tremendous heat that's easily detectable against the absolute zero background of space. The Normandy, however, temporarily sinks this heat within its hull. Because of exterior hull refrigeration, the ship can travel undetected for hours, or drift passively for days of covert observation. That heat sinking carries the risk of cooking the crew alive if the stored heat is not eventually radiated. Also contributing to stealth is the Normandy's revolutionary Tantalus drive, a Mass Effect core double the standard size. The Tantalus generates mass concentrations that the Normandy falls into, allowing it to move without the use of heat-emitting thrusters. And all of that should be in the past tense. Because also, you're never playing this game at a point where I suppose you have, like, the very opening bit where you're kind of dramatically walking through the Normandy as it gets destroyed. But you'd think this would all be in the past tense. Normandy SR2. With elaborate secrecy, presumably still covered in its own logo, Cerberus laboured for years to build a new, superior Normandy. The vehicle's many alterations produced a craft nearly double the original size, requiring an even larger Tantalus drive core to compensate. The new Normandy features greater space in living quarters, research laboratory, observation deck, and cargo bay. Its shuttle can make landings the Normandy cannot attempt. In addition to tight beam communicators, Normandy's quantum entanglement communicator, QEC, provides instantaneous contact with the elusive man. The enhanced defense intelligence AI coordinates many of the ship's combat functions, assisting and even supplanting human piloting. Supplanting human piloting seems like the kind of thing that, in theory, it was not meant to be doing. Potential upgrades are numerous. The airframe could support additional armor and an axial mass accelerator. The thrusters could support recent advances in fuel technology beyond H2O2 chemical rockets. And the hull can mount double the standard number of kinetic barrier projectors, leaving space for stronger shields, easily sustainable via the new ESO drive core. This is them saying, "You can upgrade your ship in this game! Look in your tech lab!" The only ship upgrade we've got at the minute is to fix my facial scars, but I really can't be bothered to spend like 100 grand on that, when I'll do it anyway by being nice. And the drop shuttle. The Systems Alliance UT-47 drop shuttle landing craft holds 12 soldiers in a cramped, uncomfortable cargo bay and 2 more in the cockpit, really selling it there. Officially named the Kodiak, the drop shuttle is better known to Alliance Marines as the Combat Cockroach due to its appearance and durability, and also because that's a really fun name to say. The vehicle's robust environmental sealant technology exposes few vulnerable parts to the elements. First tested in the sulfuric acid clouds and extreme temperatures of Venus, the Kodiak can land in hard vacuum, high pressure, and temperatures from near absolute zero to over 900 degrees Celsius. A true contragravitic vehicle, the Kodiak's substantial element 0 core allows flight by entirely countering the vehicle's mass. Its smooth thrusters are for directional control only, so if the mass effect field fails, the vehicle becomes a proverbial 3 million credit coffin. This is bad design. Just saying. Having no fail-safes is bad design. The unarmed shot... words. The unarmed shuttle forgoes weaponry space for active masking, electronic countermeasures, and a robust kinetic barrier system. It's ideal for dropping troops undetected. Technology. First up, biotics. It's space magic. Biotics is the ability of rare individuals to manipulate dark energy and create mass effect fields through the use of electrical impulses from the brain. Intense training and surgically implanted amplifiers are necessary for a biotic to produce mass effect fields powerful enough for practical use. The relative strength of biotic abilities varies greatly among species and with each individual. There are three branches of biotics. Telekinesis uses mass-lowering fields to levitate or impel objects. Mass-raising kinetic fields are used to block or pin objects. Distortion uses rapidly shifting mass fields to shred objects. Most organic species are capable of developing biotic abilities, though there are risks involved. Biotics are the result of in utero exposure to element 0. This usually causes fatal cancers in the victim, but in rare cases it coalesces into nodules within the fetus's developing nervous system. Yeah, there's, again, a lot of implications to unpack there, I feel. But speaking of element 0, when subjected to an electrical current, the rare material dubbed element 0, or ESO, emits a dark energy field that raises or lowers the mass of all objects within it. This mass effect, roll credits, is used in countless ways, from generating artificial gravity to manufacturing high-strength construction materials. It's most prominently used to enable faster-than-light space travel. ESO is generated when solid matter, such as a planet, is affected by the energy of a star going supernova. The material is common in the asteroid debris that orbits neutron stars and pulsars. These are dangerous places to mine, requiring extensive use of robotics, telepresence, and shielding to survive the incredible radiation from the dead star. Only a few major corporations can afford the setup costs required to work these primary sources. Capitalism! Humanity discovered refined element 0 at the Prothean research station on Mars, allowing them to create Mass Effect fields and develop FTL travel. So we just stole it. But hey, Mass Effect fields. Element 0 can increase or decrease the mass and volume of space-time when subjected to an electrical current. With a positive current, mass is increased. With a negative current, mass is decreased. The stronger the current, the greater the magnitude of the dark energy mass effect. In space, low mass fields allow FTL travel and inexpensive surface-to-orbit transit. High mass fields create artificial gravity and push space debris away from vessels. In manufacturing, low mass fields permit the creation of evenly blended alloys, while high mass compaction creates dense, sturdy construction materials. The military makes extensive use of mobility-enhancing technologies, with Mass Effect utilizing fighting vehicles standard frontline issue in most military forces. I feel like that whole clause could have used like the occasional comma or hyphen or something to see how that should be parsed. I got through it, but I wasn't sure. Mass Effect fields are also essential in the creation of kinetic barriers or shields to protect against enemy fire. Also, we have this cool picture that goes pachoo. The mass relays, here shown not going pachoo. Mass relays are feats of Prothean engineering, advance far beyond the technology of any living species. They're enormous structures scattered throughout the stars, and can create corridors of virtually mass-free space, allowing instantaneous transit between locations separated by years or even centuries of travel using conventional FTL drives. Primary mass relays can propel ships thousands of light-years off from one spiral arm of the galaxy to another. However, they have fixed one-to-one connections. A primary relay connects to one other primary relay and nowhere else. Secondary relays can only propel ships across a few hundred light-years, however they're omnidirectional. A secondary relay can send a ship to any other relay within its limited range. There are many dormant primary relays whose corresponding twins have not yet been located. These are left inactive until their partner is charted, as established civilizations are unwilling to blindly use a passage that might connect them to a hostile species. You think? Omnitools. Omnitools are handheld devices that combine a computer microframe, sensor analysis pack, and manufacturing fabricator. Versatile and reliable, an Omni tool can be used to analyse and adjust the functionality of most standard equipment, including weapons and armour, from a distance. The fabrication module can rapidly assemble small three-dimensional objects from common reusable industrial plastics, ceramics, and light alloys. This allows for field repairs and modifications to most standard items, as well as the reuse of salvaged equipment. Omni tools are standard issue for soldiers and first-line colonists. And finally, weapons. Yes, this is another thing I did a little bit when I was doing some grinding off camera. I also did a couple of research things, and that unlocked us a new heavy weapon, which I'm about to tell you about. Still in its experimental stages, the M622 Avalanche that's not what that word says. Generates Bose-Einstein condensate within a mass effect bubble, which dissipates on impact, violently spraying the condensate outward and coating the target in a near absolute zero superfluid, which will kill you. The Avalanche is unreliable, at times merely coating its target with ice, defacing exposed skin and freezing armor joints. Such low temperatures cause great damage to electronics like kinetic barrier emitters, which sometimes leads to total systems failure. At the other extreme, the Avalanche freezes flesh and bone, causing massive trauma as blood vessels constrict and frozen blood expands. Occasionally, such ice tissue shatters. So that's fun. But medical slime. Medigel is a common medicinal salve used by paramedics, EMTs, and military personnel. It combines several useful applications, a local anesthetic, disinfectant, and clotting agent all in one. Once applied, the gel is designed to grip tight to flesh until subjected to a frequency of ultrasound. It's sealable against liquids, most notably blood, as well as contaminants and gases. The gel is a genetically engineered bioplasm created by the CERTA Foundation, a medical technology megacorp based on Earth. Technically, Medigel violates council laws against genetic engineering, but so far it's proved far too useful to ban. Our life will become slightly more difficult if we enforce the law, so yeah. And our favourite missile launcher. Based on existing technology, the ML-77 is a rapid-fire missile launcher using seething projectiles. Each projectile features a friend or foe recognition system, ensuring it will find a hostile target even if the user's aim is not completely accurate. I'm gonna call bluff on that one on account of I managed to shoot it into a cliff that one time. The weapon excels at taking out snipers and other entrenched enemies in dense urban environments. This makes it popular with mercenary groups, particularly the Blue Suns. Missile launchers have been appearing with increasing frequency in the Terminus systems, but their point of manufacture is unknown. Legal duplication of missile launchers is difficult due to fabrication rights management technology. And we're done, except wait, there's a secondary tab with probably even more. Hey, we've not even been going an hour yet, it's all good. More about the Council Racers. Jesus. Asari biology. Asari have a robust cellular regenerative system. While they do not heal faster than other species, Asari are known to reach 1,000 years of age. Although Asari have one gender, they are not asexual, and Asari provides 2 copies of her own genes to her offspring. The second set is altered in a unique process called melding. During melding, an Asari consciously attunes her nervous system to her partner's, sending and receiving electrical impulses directly through the skin. The partner can be another Asari or an alien of either gender, because even in the future apparently binary exists. Effectively, the Asari and her partner briefly become one unified nervous system. This unique means of reproduction is the reason Asari are talented biotics. Their evolved ability to consciously control nerve impulses is very similar to biotic training. Asari believe that their offspring acquire the best qualities of the father from the melded genes, but evidence is anecdotal. Asari pass through 3 climacteric, which isn't a word I know. It very much might mean something, or... See, I'm gonna have a moment and look it up because I feel dumb. critical period or event, or in medicine, the menopause. Okay. It's interesting that we have the same word there for significant and menopausal, which... question mark, but hey. Asari passed through 3 climacteric life stages, marked by biochemical and physiological changes. The maiden stage begins at birth and is marked by the drive to explore and experience. Most young Asari are curious and restless. The matron stage of life begins around the age of 350, though it can be triggered earlier if the individual modes frequently. This period is marked by a desire to settle in one area and raise children. Yeah. We have this whole race of hot women that, after a certain point, they just want to settle down and have lots of babies, and that comes earlier if they have sex a lot. Woof. The matriarch stage begins around 700 or earlier if the individual modes rarely. Matriarchs become active in their community as sages and counselors, dispensing wisdom from centuries of experience. So the moral here again is that if you have less sex, you can achieve wisdom quicker. BioWare. What? While each stage of life is marked by strong biological tendencies, individuals do make unexpected life choices. For example, there are maidens who stay close to home rather than explore, matrons who would rather work than build family, matriarchs who have no interest in community affairs. So, that's just them saying, but don't read too much into what we just wrote. Well, screw you, BioWare, I'm going to. Asari culture. Because of their long lifespan, Asari tend to have a long view not common in other races. Again, Evo-Psych all up in this. When they encounter a new species or situation, the Asari are more comfortable with an extended period of passive observation and study than immediate action. They're unfazed that some of their investments or decisions may not pay off for decades or centuries. Matriarchs can seem to make incomprehensible decisions, but their insight is evident when their carefully laid plans come to fruition. In interstellar relations, this long view manifests in an unspoken policy of centrism. The Asari instinctively seek to maintain stable balances of economic, political, and military power. Yeah, there's a lot to say about centrism and how we seem to be buying into the standard thing of the best position between these two things. But hey, I'd be getting too close to real-world politics, I guess. Traditionally, Asari spread their influence through cultural domination and intellectual superiority. Wow, both those terms are a lot. They invite new species of advanced development to join the galactic community, knowing that their ideals and beliefs will inevitably influence the existing culture. Yikes. Asari government. The Asari came late to the concept of world government. For centuries, their homeworld of Thessia was dotted with loose confederacies of great republican cities. The closest earthly equivalent would be the ancient Mediterranean city-states. Since the Asari culture values consensus and accommodation, there was little impetus to form larger principalities. Rather than hoard resources, the Asari bartered freely. Rather than attack one another over differing philosophies, they sought to understand one another. Only in the information age did the city-states grow close. Communication over internet evolved into an electronic democracy. Asari have no politicians or elections, but a freewheeling, all-inclusive legislature that citizens can participate at will. Policy debates take place at all hours of the day in official chat rooms and forums, moderated by specially programmed virtual intelligences. Again, I have views about letting your Discord bots influence global politics. Maybe that's just me. Vote for Carl. All aspects of policy are open to plebiscite at any time, which seems like a system where nothing would ever get done. In any given debate, the Asari tend to lend the most credence to the opinions of any matriarchs present, nearly always deferring to the experience of these millennia-old wise women. Achieving consensus through public debate may take too long in a crisis. In cases where prompt, decisive action is required, the Asari defer to the wisdom of local matriarchs. Alright. Military doctrine. The Asari military resembles a collection of tribal warrior bands with no national structure. Each community organises its own unit as the locals see fit, and elect a leader to command them. Units from populous cities are large and well equipped, while those from farm villages may only be a few women with small arms. There is no uniform, everyone wears what they like. The Asari military is not an irregular militia, however, those who serve are full-time professionals. The average Asari huntress is in the maiden stage of her life and has devoted 20 to 30 years to studying the martial arts. Asari choose to be warriors at a young age, and their education from that point is dedicated to sharpening the mind and body for that sole purpose. When they retire, they possess an alarming proficiency for killing. Huntresses fight individually or in pairs, depending on the tactics preferred in their town. One-on-one, a huntress is practically unbeatable, possessing profound tactical insight, a hunter's eye, and a dancer's grace and alacrity, but again, I've beaten a bunch of them, just saying. Biotics are common enough that some capability is a requirement to be trained as a huntress. Lack of biotic talent excludes a young Asari from military service. While fluid and mobile, Asari can't stand up in a firestorm the way a Krogan, Turian, or human could. Since their units are small and typically lack heavy armour and support weapons, they're almost incapable of fighting a conventional war, particularly one of a defence nature. So Asari units typically undertake special operations missions, like an army of ninja, which still sounds like such an awkward phrase that they've kept in there for some reason. They're adept at ambush, infiltration, and assassination, demoralising and defeating their enemies through intense, focused guerrilla strikes. As a popular Turian saying puts it, the Asari are the finest warriors in the galaxy. Fortunately, there are not too many of them. And religion. The pantheistic mainstream Asari religion is Siari, which translates roughly as all is one. The faithful agree on certain core truths. The universe is a consciousness, every life within it is an aspect of the greater whole, and death is a merging of one's spiritual energy back into the greater universal consciousness. Siarists don't specifically believe in reincarnation. They believe that spiritual energy returned to the universal consciousness upon death will eventually be used to fill new mortal vessels. Siari became popular after the Asari left their homeworld and discovered their ability to meld with nearly any form of life. This ability is seen as proof that all life is fundamentally similar. Siari priestesses see their role as promoting unity between the disparate shards of the universe's awareness. Before the rise of Siari pantheism, Asari religions were as diverse as their political opinions. The strongest survivor of those days is the monotheistic religion worshipping the goddess Athame. Like the Asari, the goddess cycles through the triple aspects of maiden, matron, and matriarch. Because, yeah, they're Mediterranean space witch elves, I guess. Anyway, enough about the Asari, because we've got just as much about the other two. Let's talk about the Solarians. Solarians are noted for their high-speed metabolism, which allows them to function on just 1 hour of sleep a day. I wish. Their minds and bodies work faster than most sapient races, making them seem restless or hyperactive. The drawback of this active metabolism is a short lifespan of around 40 human years. The Solarians are amphibian haplodiploid egg layers. Unfertilized eggs produce males, and fertilized eggs produce females. Once a year, a Solarian female will lay a clutch of dozens of eggs. Social rules prevent all but a fraction from being fertilized. As a result, 90% of the species is male. Solarians have photographic memories and rarely forget a fact. They also possess a form of psychological imprinting, tending to defer to those they knew in their youth. Solarian hatching is a solemn ritual in which the clan Dalatras, or matriarch, isolates herself with the eggs. The young Solarians psychologically imprint on her and tend to defer to her wishes. During the hatching of daughters, the Dalatrases of the mother and father's clans are present at the imprinting. This ensures the offspring have equal loyalty to both, ensuring the desired dynastic and political unity. The rare Solarian females are cloistered on their worlds out of tradition and respect. Powerful female Dalatrases are dynasts and political kingpins. They determine the political course of their respective region through shrewd negotiation. Though male Solarians rise to positions of great authority in business, academia, or the military, they rarely have any input on politics. Due to their method of reproduction, Solarians have no concept of romantic love, sexual attraction, or the biological impulses and social rituals that complicate human lives. Like, that still just gets me. I hate that they've taken the Evo Psych thing so far to say that because of how this group reproduce, they have no ability to love or be attracted to people. That is bad, and by a way you should feel bad. I know I had this rant last time, but still, it's bad. Male-female relationships are rare due to the scarcity of females, more akin to human friendship. Sexuality is strictly for the purpose of reproduction is a sentence we're saying. This game came out in like 2010. Ancient social codes determine who gets to fertilize eggs, which produces more daughters to continue a bloodline. Fertilization generally only occurs after months of negotiation between the parents' clans, and is done for purposes of political and dynastic alliance. No Solarian would imagine defying this code because all alien races are a single monolithic culture. Solarian names are quite complex. A full name includes in order the name of a Solarian's planet, duchy, barony, fiefdom, family, and finally the given name. Yes, one of the many Mass Effect explanations for lack of female characters. You're not wrong. Solarian government. The Solarian government is called the Solarian Union. It's a labyrinthine web of matrilineal bloodlines, with political alliances formed through interbreeding. In many ways, the Solarian political network functions like the noble families versus medieval Europe. Structurally, the government consists of fiefdoms, baronies, duchies, planets, and marches, or colonization clusters. These are human nicknames. The original Solarian is unpronounceable. God, I hate that as well. When you people don't seem to get how it's racist to say that thing in X language is unpronounceable. It's like, no, it's not, because they do it, make the effort. Each area is ruled by a single Dalatras, or matriarchal head of household, and represents an increasing amount of territory and prestige within the Solarian political web. Approaching 100 members, the first circle of a Solarian's clan comprises parents, siblings, uncles, aunts, and cousins. The next circle includes second cousins, etc., and escalates to well over 1,000 members. The fourth or fifth circle of a clan numbers into the millions. Solarian loyalty is greatest to their first circle and diminishes from there. Their photographic memories allow Solarians to recognize all their myriad relatives. Good handmade. We didn't learn the language or respect them enough to even try. Anyway, human supremacy is bad. Yeah. Inconsistent politics in this series. Before they joined the Citadel Council, the Solarians' most potent military tool was a small reconnaissance team known as the League of One. Their primary training was in espionage and assassination. Never more than a dozen strong, the team was adept at infiltrating the tightest defences and eliminating all necessary obstacles. Only a few top members of government and military were privy to the League's identities. League members wore no distinguishing garments and held no particular rank. The only evidence of their participation in the League was a small medallion presented to each member upon induction. This secrecy was maintained until the formation of the Council. In an effort to dispel rumours and appease their new Asari partners, the Solarian Union released all classified documents pertaining to the League. The League of One was suddenly exposed and in danger of being hunted by enemies of the Solarians. Before any harm could be done, the team mysteriously disappeared. Most assumed this was a convenient lie to help hide their identities, but a few months later the inner cabinet was murdered. Though there was no incriminating evidence, it was clear who was responsible. Realizing the threat posed by this rogue outfit, the Special Task Group dispatched a team of hunters. When they didn't return, the STG dispatched 10 of its brightest operators with broad discretionary powers. Only 2 returned, and they reported no evidence of the League, no sir. Never happened, didn't see a thing. No further incidents were reported, and it was assumed that the League was wiped out. Some recently declassified documents, however, have suggested that there may have been a 13th member who eluded the Solarian military. military doctrine. In principle, wow, forget how to say words. In principle, the Solarian military is similar to the Alliance, a small volunteer army that focuses on maneuver warfare. What differentiates the Solarian is not their equipment or doctrine, but their intelligence services and rules of engagement, or lack thereof. The Solarians believe that a war should be won before it begins. Conventional wisdom holds that the Solarians know everything about everyone, and this is not far from the truth. In war, the unquestioned superiority of their intelligence services allows them to use their small military to maximum effectiveness. Well before fighting breaks out, they possess complete knowledge of their enemy's positions, intentions, and timetable. In every war the Solarians have fought, they struck first and without warning. War crimes. For the Solarians, to know an enemy plans to attack and to let it happen is folly. To announce their own plans to attack is insanity. They find the human moral concepts of do not fire until fired upon and declare a war before prosecuting it incredibly naive. In defensive wars, they execute devastating preemptive strikes hours before the enemy's own attacks. On the offense, they have never telegraphed their intentions with a declaration of war before attacking. Biotics are virtually unknown in the Solarian military. Those with such abilities are considered too valuable to be used as cannon fodder and are assigned to the intelligence services. While capable of defending themselves against most threats, the Solarians know that they are small fish in a universe filled with sharks. As a point of survival, they've cultivated strong alliances with larger powers, particularly the Turians. Though the relationship between the two species was rocky at first due to the Krogan uplift fiasco, the Solarians take pains to keep this relationship strong enough that anyone who might threaten them risks Turian intervention. And speaking of the STG, Solarian intelligence field agents are grouped into an organisation called the Special Task Group. STG operators work in independent cells, performing dangerous missions such as counter-terrorism, infiltration reconnaissance, assassination, and sabotage. The STG is a proactive organisation, let's put it that way, puncturing worrisome trends before they become movements. At any time, a dozen groups are operating covertly within the lawless Terminus systems, sowing dissent among the various factions. Civilian analysts also note how troublesome hinge-point individuals in Terminus frequently meet unexpected deaths. Unexpected. STG operators are feared throughout the galaxy for their clear-eyed, remorseless practicality. A lot to unpack in that. They're willing to do whatever it takes to achieve their mission, even if it kills civilians or results in the team's own destruction. In many ways, they're akin to the Council Spectres. Yeah, both are a bad idea. Recently, a number of STG cells have been redeployed from the Solarian Union. It's assumed they're in the Terminus and Attican Traverse, investigating reports of Geth activity beyond the Perseus Veil. And on to the Turians. The Turian homeworld, Palaven, has a metal-poor core, generating a weak magnetic field and allowing more solar radiation into the atmosphere. To deal with this, most forms of life on Palaven involve some form of metallic exoskeleton to protect themselves. Their reflective plate-like skin makes Turians less susceptible to long-term, low-level radiation exposure, but they do not possess any sort of natural armour. A Turian's thick skin does not stop projectiles and directed energy bolts. Although life on Palaven is carbon-based and oxygen-breathing, it's built on dextro-amino acids. This places the Turians in a distinct minority on the galactic stage. The Quarians are the only other known sapient dextroprotein race. The food of humans, Asari or Solarians, who evolved in levo-amino acid-based biospheres, will at best pass through Turian systems without providing any nutrition. At worst, it can trigger an allergic reaction that can be fatal if not immediately treated. Culture. While Turians are individuals with personal desires, their instinct is to equate the self with the group and set aside personal desires for the good of all. Monolithic culture, something. Turians are taught to have a strong sense of personal accountability, the Turian honour that other races find so remarkable. Turians are taught to own every decision they make, good or ill. The worst sin they can make in the eyes of their people is to lie about their own actions. Turians who murder will try to get away with it, but if directly questioned, most will confess the crime. Turians have a strong inclination toward public service and self-sacrifice, so they tend to be poor entrepreneurs. To compensate, they accepted the mercantile Volus as a client race, offering protection in exchange for their physical expertise. The Turian military is the centre of their society. It's not just an armed force, it's an all-encompassing public works organisation. The military police are also the civic police. The fire brigades serve the civilian population as well as military facilities. The Corps of Engineers builds and maintains spaceports, schools, water purification plants, and power stations. The Merchant Marine ensures that all worlds get needed resources. This isn't a good thing. The Turian government is a hierarchical meritocracy. While it has great potential for misuse, this is tempered by the civic duty and personal responsibility Turians learn in childhood. Turians have 27 citizenship tiers, beginning with civilians, client races, and children. The initial period of military service is the second tier. Formal citizenship is conferred at the third tier after boot camp. For client races, citizenship is granted after the individual musters out. Higher-ranked citizens are expected to lead and protect subordinates. Lower-ranked citizens are expected to obey and support superiors. Promotion to another tier of citizenship is based on the personal assessments of one's superiors and co-rankers. Throughout their lives, Turians ascend to higher tiers and are occasionally demoted to lower ones. The stigma associated with demotion lies not on the individual, but on those who promoted him when he wasn't ready for additional responsibility. This curbs the tendency to promote individuals into positions beyond their capabilities. Settling into a role and rank is not considered stagnation. Turians valued knowing one's own limitations more than being ambitious. At the top are the Primarchs, who each rule a colonization cluster. The Primarchs vote on matters of national import. They otherwise maintain a hands-off policy, trusting the citizens on each level below them to do their jobs competently. Turians enjoy broad freedoms. So long as one completes his duties and does not prevent others from completing theirs, nothing is forbidden. For example, there are no laws against recreational drug use, but if someone is unable to complete his duties due to drug use, his superiors step in. Judicial proceedings are interventions. Peers express their concern and try to convince the offender to change. If rehabilitation fails, Turians have no qualms about sentencing dangerous individuals to life and hard labour for the state. It was sounding so good with the intervention model, and then just... welp, we tried, bam. A meritocracy with a caste system seems sus, you think? I hope that and that next paragraph is half of the same paragraph again. Good editing, BioWare. This doesn't sound like a meritocracy at all, you think? 1 second. The sun is once again refusing to cooperate with my streaming schedule. It's very rude. Military doctrine. I think the Turian military doctrine is yes. Although they lack the brutality of the Krogan, the skill of the Asari, and the virtuosity of the humans, what does that mean? I'm sorry? The Turian military has formidable discipline. Officers and NCOs are lifers with years of field experience. Enlisted personnel are thoroughly trained and stay calm under fire. Turian units don't break. Even if their entire line collapses, they fall back in order, setting ambushes as they go. A popular saying holds, "You will only see a Turian's back once he's dead." Yeah, I could get more actual equipment to help with my streams, but then I would run the risk of looking vaguely professional, and that's a brand I really can't maintain. Boot camp begins on the 15th birthday. Soldiers receive a year of training before being assigned to a field unit. Officers train for even longer. Most serve until the age of 30, at which point they become part of the reserves. Even if they suffer injuries preventing frontline service, most do support work behind the lines. Biotics are uncommon. While admired for their exacting skills, biotics' motives are not always fully trusted by the common soldier. The Turians prefer to assign their biotics to specialist teams called cabals. Command and control is decentralized and flexible. Individual squads can call for artillery and air support. They make extensive use of combat drones for light duties and practice combined arms. Infantry operates with armour supported by overhead gunships. Strategically, they are methodical and patient, dislike risky operations. Tradition is important, citation needed. Each legion has a full-time staff of historians who chronicle its battle honours in detail. The oldest have records dating back to the Turian Iron Age. If a legion is destroyed in battle, it's reconstituted rather than replaced. The Turians recruit auxiliary units from conquered or absorbed minor races. Auxiliaries are generally light infantry or armoured cavalry units that screen and support the main Turian formations. At the conclusion of their services in the auxiliaries, recruits are granted Turian citizenship. This once again just feels like they got an article about Roman military doctrine and did a cheap find and replace. Turian religion. Although Turians have a strict moral code, their belief in individual responsibility means that the concepts of good and evil are simply the individual's choice between egotism and altruism in any given decision. They have no concept of good deities that encourage noble behaviour or evil ones that tempt individuals to misdeeds. Turians believe that groups and areas have spirits that transcend the individual. For example, a military unit would be considered to have a literal spirit that embodies the honour and courage it's displayed. A city's spirit reflects the accomplishments and industry of its residents. An ancient tree's spirit reflects the beauty and tranquility of the area it grows within. These spirits are neither good nor evil, nor are they appealed to for intercession. Turians do not believe spirits can affect the world, but spirits can inspire the living. Prayers and rituals allow an individual to converse with the spirit for guidance or inspiration. For example, a Turian who finds his loyalty tested may appeal to the spirit of his unit, hoping to reconnect with the pride and honour of the group. A Turian who wishes to create a work of art may attempt to connect with the spirit of a beautiful location. Turians enjoy absolute freedom of religion and practice whatever appeals to them, so long as it does not impede anyone's ability to perform their duties. There are many practitioners of the Asari Siarist philosophy. Since opening dialogue with the Human Systems Alliance, some Turians have embraced Confucianism and Zen Buddhism, despite the fact that we basically just described their native religion as Shinto, so would they not have gone to that? I say that like Shintoism is basically intrinsically tied to Japan, so. And finally for this section, at about the time the Solarians and Asari formed in the Council, the Turians were embroiled in a bitter civil war. The Unification War, as it was later named, began with hostilities between the colonies furthest from the Turian homeworld Paladin. These colonies were run by local chieftains, many of whom had distanced themselves from the hierarchy. Without the galvanizing influence of the government, the colonies became increasingly isolated and xenophobic. Colonists began wearing emblems or facial markings to differentiate themselves from members of other colonies, and open hostilities became common. When war finally broke out, the hierarchy maintained strict diplomacy and refused to get involved. After several years of fighting, less than a dozen factions remained, and the hierarchy finally intervened. By that time, the chieftains were too weak to resist. They were forced to put an end to fighting and renew their allegiance to the hierarchy. Though peace was restored, it took several decades for animosity between colonists to fade completely. To this day, most Turians still wear the facial markings of their home colonies. As a point of interest, the Turian term barefaced refers to one who is beguiling or not to be trusted. It's also a slang term for politicians. Zing. There's a lot here. There's a lot. Let's talk about some extinct races. Oh hey, remember the beacon that we poked and it blew up? The beacon was a Prothean artifact unearthed on the Alliance colony of Eden Prime. Its resemblance to the Prothean databanks recovered on Mars provoked immediate interest from the Alliance and the Citadel Council. It proved to be a solid-state data storage device, part of a galaxy-spanning comm network similar to the modern extranet. Intact Prothean paleotechnology is rare. The beacon seemed to promise another quantum leap of technology akin to the discovery of the Mass Effect drive and relays. Unfortunately, the beacon also drew the attention of the rogue Spectre Sauron Arterius and synthetic allies of Geth. A dawn raid by his flagship Sovereign resulted in hundreds of civilian casualties. The beacon was badly damaged. The motives behind the attack are still being investigated. It's been 2 years, and I've been telling you what it is. During the recovery operation, the beacon fired a pulse of energy at the executive officer of the Alliance frigate Normandy. Lieutenant Commander Shepard survived and appears to have suffered no ill effects. Afterwards, the beacon fell inert. The mechanism appears to be dead. And the cipher. The Prothean beacon downloaded its knowledge into Commander Shepard on Eden Prime, causing confusion, dreams, and visions. While the imagery is becoming clearer with time, the meaning of the beacon communication remains elusive. It's been suggested that Prothean data recording is highly dependent on a certain point of view, what Carl Jung described as the collective unconscious. The cipher needed to comprehend the images implanted in Shepard's mind is the cultural knowledge of a Prothean, the archetypes, biological instincts, and common experiences universal to the race. Since the Protheans have been dead for millennia, it may be impossible to acquire this cipher, but I already did. Go me. Despite all the evidence confirming the existence of the Protheans, little is known about their culture and society. From time to time, dig sites will yield new clues, but after 50,000 years of decay, little of value is unearthed. Recent research has focused on the discovery of Prothean data disks. On their own, they're frail and rarely found in one piece. Occasionally, however, an intact disk will be discovered within a console or reading device. The Mars ruins. After 20 years of manned research outposts and nearly a century of robotic exploration, the European Space Agency's Lowell City became the first permanent settlement on Mars in 2103. So I said 2013, and I was like, wow, this game came out in 2010, you're ambitious. Within a decade, the United States and China had founded permanent settlements as well. The South Polar region of Prometheus Planum developed a Bermuda Triangle reputation. Satellites detected intermittent mass concentrations and magnetic field shifts. In 2148, prospectors working near Deseado crater discovered an underground complex and Prothean observation post. The odd phenomena were generated by the operation and discharge of a Mass Effect core, struggling to function despite 50 millennia of neglect. Earth was electrified by the news. Humanity was unequivocally not alone. While courts battled over who owned the ruins, the international scientific community coordinated a massive effort to access, translate, and interpret the databanks recovered from the facility. The facility proved to be a biosciences observation post, built when Homo sapiens were first evolving on Earth. While the motives of the Protheans are not certain, translated records indicate that the facility was in communication with automated observation platforms in Earth orbit and on the lunar near side. The half-dozen Mass Effect spaceships found in the facility were presumably used for first-hand observation. And the Rachni. Though now extinct-ish, the Rachni once threatened every species in Citadel space. Over 2,000 years ago, explorers foolishly opened a mass relay to a previously unknown system, and encountered something never seen before or since, a species of spacefaring insects guided by a hive-mind intelligence. Unfortunately, the Rachni were not peaceful, and the galaxy was plunged into a series of conflicts known as the Rachni Wars, imaginatively. Attempts to negotiate were futile, as it was impossible to make contact with the hive queens that guided the race from beneath the surface of their toxic homeworld. The emergence of the Krogan ended the Rachni Wars. Bred to survive the harshest environments, the Krogan were able to strike at the queens in their lairs and reclaim conquered worlds. But when Krogan fleets pressed them back to their homeworld, the Rachni refused to surrender, and the Krogan eradicated them from the galaxy. Again, I say ish. Non-council races. Geth armatures. Armatures are quadruped all-terrain heavy weapons platforms akin to the armoured fighting vehicles of other races. Geth being synthetic intelligences, armatures are not crude vehicles, but intelligent entities capable of independent decision-making and learning. Armatures are equipped with heavy kinetic barriers. Their main cannon, mounted on the articulated head turret, appears to be a highly efficient conventional mass accelerator. It's capable of firing in anti-personnel and anti-tank modes. Some armatures carry drones into battle, presumably for reconnaissance purposes. Others host a swarm of insect-sized repair microbots, because that's dope. Oh hey, the Keepers. When the Asari discovered the Citadel, they also discovered the Keepers, a docile, multi-limbed insect race that seemingly exists only to maintain and repair the Great Prothean Station. Early attempts to communicate with or study the Keepers were failures, and it's now illegal to interfere with or impede Keeper activity. Because they're completely non-threatening, Keepers have become virtually invisible to everyone else. Similarly, they seem indifferent to other species, except for their tendency to help new arrivals integrate themselves into the Citadel. No matter how many Keepers die due to old age, violence, or accident, they maintain a constant number. No one has discovered the source of new Keepers, but some hypothesize they're genetic constructs, biological androids created somewhere deep in the inaccessible core of the Citadel itself. Yeah, I wish, because I think what the Codex here has done, because obviously there's a bunch of stuff we haven't actually encountered in this game, is just import the Codex from the previous game. And I wish there was a way to know which entries you'd already read, because for one thing I have a bad memory, and I'll realise that I've already read one of these halfway through it. And I did say that I'm going to be reading them all, so that people can catch up if they didn't watch the first game. But on the other hand, this is a lot. Let's talk about the Krogan and probably weirdly racist. The Krogan evolved in a lethal ecology. Over millions of years, the Grimm struggled to survive larger predators, virulent disease, and resource scarcity on their homeworld Tuchanka, turned the lizards into quintessential survivors. Perhaps the most telling indicator of Tuchanka's lethality is the Krogan eyes. Although they're a predator species by any standard definition, their eyes evolved to be wide-set, as in Earth prey species like deer and cattle. Krogan eyes have a 240-degree arc of vision, better suited for spotting enemies sneaking up on them in pursuit. Physically, the Krogan are nigh indestructible, with a tough hide impervious to any melee weapon short of a molecular blade. While they feel pain, it does not affect their ability to concentrate. They have multiple functioning examples of all major organs, and can often survive the loss of one or two of any time. Rather than a nervous system, they have an electrically conductive second circulatory system. A Krogan can never be paralysed. They may lose some of this fluid, but it can be replaced by the body in time. And once again, that sounds slightly questionable. The hump on a Krogan's back stores water and fats that help the Krogan survive lean times. Yes, we have read this one, but like I say, I am planning on reading them all, just in case anybody didn't watch the first one. Large humps are a point of pride. Being well fed implies the Krogan is a superior predator. The most widely known biological feature of the Krogan is their incredible birth rate and rapid maturity. Once freed from the hostile cauldron of Tuchanka, the Krogan population swelled into a numberless horde. Only the genophage kept them from outbreeding the combined council races. It's just the way they phrase that, thank God for this colossal crime against sentience that saved us from these barbarian hordes. Now the rare Krogan females capable of bringing a child to term are treated like strategic resources. Warlords will trade them at diplomacy, or more frequently fight wars over them. Breeding. Indeed. The harsh Krogan homeworld conditioned the Krogan psychology for toughness, just as it did the body. Evo Psych. Krogan have always had a tendency to be selfish, unsympathetic, and blunt. They respect strength and self-reliance, and are neither surprised nor offended by treachery. The weak and selfless do not live long. In their culture, looking out for number one is simply a matter of course. After their defeat in the rebellions, the very concept of Krogan leadership was discredited. Where a warlord could once command enough power to bring entire solar systems to heel and become overlord, these days it's rare for a single leader to have more than 1,000 warriors swear allegiance to him. Most Krogan trust and serve no one but themselves. This solitary attitude stems in part from a deep sense of fatalism and futility, a profound social effect of the genophage that caused Krogan numbers to dwindle to a relative handful. It's just the way we slide so quickly from evo-psych rubbish into collective trauma, very much a real thing. Not only are they angry that the entire universe seemed out to get them, the Krogan are also generally pessimistic about their race's chances of survival. Surviving Krogan see no point to building for the future. There will be no future. The Krogan live with an attitude of kill, pillage, and be selfish. Tomorrow we die. Oh hey, the genophage. Great. The genophage bioweapon was created to end the Krogan rebellions. From the start, the Krogan had overwhelmed the Council. Only timely first contact with the Turians saved the Council races, again positioning it as saving them from these fast-breeding barbarians. There are people who say this in real life about other races, and yeah, it's always bad. The Turians fought the Krogan to a standstill, but sheer weight of Krogan numbers indicated the war could not be won through conventional means. The Turians collaborated with the Solarians to genetically engineer a counter to the rapid breeding of the Krogan. The genophage virus gained the energy to replicate by eating key genetic sequences. Every cell in every Krogan had to be altered for the weapon to be foolproof, otherwise the Krogan could have used gene therapy to fix the affected tissues. Once a genophage strain could find no more genes to eat, it would starve and die, limiting spin-off mutation and contamination. This created genetic flaw as hereditary. The Solarians believed the genophage would be used as a deterrent, a position the Turians viewed as naive. Didn't we just have a thing in the military doctrine about how Solarians as a culture, and again, one monolithic culture, think that, like, doing anything by half measures in war is naive? Shouldn't this be the other way around? Once the project was complete, the Turians mass-produced and deployed it. The Krogan homeworld, their colonies, and all occupied worlds were infected. The resulting mutation made only 1 in 1,000 Krogan pregnancies carry to term. It did not reduce fertility, but offspring viability. The rare females able to carry children to term became prizes the Krogan warlords fought brutal battles over. Yeah, wow, this game has a weird relationship with women in general. The Krogan are a shadow of their former glory. While the rebellions took place centuries ago, they are constantly reminded of the horror of the genophage and of their inability to counter it. The release of the genophage is still controversial, bitterly debated in many circles. Such controversial war crimes. Who's to say? Who's to say? The Krogan rebellions. After the Rachni War, the quick-breeding Krogan expanded at the expense of their neighbours. Warlords leveraged their veteran soldiers to seize living space, while the Council races were still grateful. Over centuries, the Krogan conquered world after world. There was always just one more needed. Mood. When the Council finally demanded withdrawal from the Asari colony of Lucia, Krogan overlord Kredak stormed off the citadel, daring the Council to take their worlds back. But the Council had taken precautions. The finest STG operators and Asari huntresses had been drafted into a covert observation force, the Office of Special Tactics and Reconnaissance. The Spectres opened the war with crippling strategic strikes. Krogan planets went dark as computer viruses flooded the extranet. Sabotaged antimatter refineries disappeared in blue-white annihilation. Headquarters stations shattered into orbit cloaking debris rammed by replaced suicide freighters. Still, this only delayed the inevitable. The war would have been lost if not for first contact with the Turians, who responded to Krogan threats with a prompt declaration of war. Being on the far side of Krogan space from the Council, the Turians advanced rapidly into their lightly defended Krogan rear areas, not doing the joke again. The Krogan responded by dropping space stations and asteroids on Turian colonies. 3 worlds were rendered completely uninhabitable. This was precisely the wrong approach to take with the Turians. Each is first and foremost a public servant, willing to risk his life to protect his comrades. Rather than increasing public war wariness, Krogan tactics stiffened Turian resolve. The arrival of Turian task forces saved many worlds from the warlords' marauding fleets, but it took development of the genophage bioweapon to end the war. There were decades of unrest afterwards, you think. Rogue warlords and holdout groups of insurgents refused to surrender or disappeared into the frontier systems to become pirates. It's interesting when you think about it that, like, the genophage is portrayed as having had this immediate deterrent effect, and like taken them out of the and like ended the war immediately, when it's a thing that specifically affects pregnancy. Like, how long did it take them to work out that anything had happened at all? I mean, I don't off the top of my head know how long Krogan pregnancies are, although that sounds like exactly the kind of TMI this game will choose to give me at some point. But yeah, it's interesting to think about. Anyway, on that slightly banal note, I very much haven't finished the codex yet. I am going to take a break, because I've been talking for like an hour 40, just reading this book. I need to get up and walk and drink some more water, and I will see you all in... Give us the Krogan Pregnancy Codex we all want. Look, I know there's a codex entry based on that Hanar porn magazine we picked up, so anything's possible. Okay, yes, I will see you all in 5 to 10 minutes. You all can go get a drink, stretch your legs, whatever. I'm going to do the same. See you in a bit. And we're back. Hi everyone, welcome back to me reading a book and shouting about war crimes. Truly, the best AAA video game. For all the war crimes, the amount of innuendo that this game manages is staggering, which is entirely true, and a sentence that has probably never been said before. Krogan military doctrine. Traditional Krogan tactics were built on attritional mass unit warfare. Equipped with cheap, rugged gear, troop formations were powerful but inflexible. Command and control was very centralized. Soldiers in the field who saw a target contacted their commanders behind the lines to arrange fire support. Since the genophage, the Krogan can no longer afford the casualties of the old Horde tanks. The Battlemasters are a match for any 10 soldiers of another species. To a Battlemaster, killing is a science. They focus on developing a clean, brute force economy of motion that exploits their brutal strength to incapacitate enemies with a swift single blow of overwhelming power. This change of focus from mass unit warfare to maximal efficiency has increased employment demand in the fields of security and muscle for hire. Due to the unsavoury reputation of the Krogan, most of these jobs are on the far side of the law. Battlemasters are not spit and polish, but they do believe in being well armed and equipped, preferably with a gun for each limb. Can Krogan use guns with their feet is the big question I never expected to be asking. They're callous and brutal, but methodical and disciplined. They use any means at their disposal to achieve their goals, no matter how reprehensible. Hostage-taking and genocide are acceptable means to assure a quiet occupation with few Krogan casualties, and again, we call it genocide when the quote-unquote evil races do it. The Krogan serving with Sauron's forces appear to be returning to the old style of mass attritional combat. Again, this is written as if this is still happening. They also work in close cooperation with supporting Geth units who fill the roles occupied by combat drones and other armies. Biotics are rare among the Krogan. Those that exist are viewed with suspicion and fear. The Krogan see this aura of fear as a useful quality for an officer and often promote them. Combat drones and other high-tech equipment are likewise in short supply. New York's hottest club has everything. War crimes, genocide, XXX magazines, homoerotic racism, meritocracies. This is my favourite club on the Citadel. But now let's move on and talk about the Quarians. Just out of interest, it is just Quarians now. The migrant fleet has little economic base, operating in a state of perpetual hand-to-mouth. While Quarian ships include light manufacturing and assembly plants, they lack heavy industries such as refining and shipbuilding. The fleet has tankers for water purification and oxygen cracking, but the space-intensive nature of agriculture limits food production. A single disaster could destroy the fragile balance. The Quarians earn income in creative ways, because the government is obliged to provide food, water, air, and medical support for every individual. Goals. The Conclave strategically determines the course of the fleet to bring in resources and income. A species who suspects the migrant fleet is heading towards their space often offers a gift of surplus starships, fuel, and resources to convince the Conclave to alter course. You've kind of got to respect the power move of an entire species adopting the give us some money and we'll go away business model. Like, yes, it's all because we're doing this whole kind of space Roma thing with the Quarians. But still, it's quite funny. As the fleet passes through a system, swarms of mining vessels work over asteroids for metals and silicious materials, and cometary bodies for water ice and organics. Seriously, BioWare, but a comma. How much would a comma cost you? Quarian miners are adept at locating and strip mining spaceborne resources. Oh hey, welcome to the Streamsphere. This sparks conflict with the corporations already working the system. Large mining concerns spend millions on lobbyists and public relations portraying the Quarians as locusts devouring the resources of the system before moving on. The greatest asset of the Quarians is their rarefied skills. Most are experienced miners. Due to their life of perpetual salvage and repair, they're skilled engineers and technicians. More than once, the very corporations that lobby against the Quarians have made backroom deals with the fleet, arranging for skilled Quarians to fill space engineering jobs that other species would demand higher wages for. Quarians are widely hated among the working classes. The Quarians are coming to take our jobs is a common response to the fleet's approach. Like, yes, we're deliberately talking about race, but still. The government. Due to the Quarians' precarious existence and the need to enforce strict rationing, government is somewhat autocratic. The migrant fleet's operations are directed by the Admiralty, a board of 5 military officers who are advised by a legislative body called the Conclave. Each vessel in the fleet has the right to send representatives to the Conclave aboard the flagship. The number of representatives is based on crew size. Larger clans with bigger ships and more votes form the cause of political blocks. Opposition comes from the Outriders coalition, with delegates from thousands of smaller ships. That's not what the working class means. Yep. The Admiralty defers to the Conclave's decisions in most circumstances. However, if all 5 members agree that a Conclave decision jeopardizes the survival of the fleet and cannot get the Conclave to address their concerns, they have the right to summarily overturn the legislative decisions. So they defer to the Conclave unless they don't want to. After the Admiralty uses this extraordinary power, they must resign. This is actually not a bad model. If the Admiralty does not step down after using their veto, the rest of the military is obliged to arrest them. Chance to be a fine thing. But not going into this. Each ship captain has authority over his vessel, but is advised by an elected civilian council, just as the Admiralty is advised by the Conclave. This relationship may range from cooperation to polite tolerance to outright hostility, but any captain who overrules his council without good reason is relieved of command by the Admiralty. Many Quarian ships are owned by clans who pool their resources to purchase used vessels from private sellers. Large ships are prestigious for big, rich clans, but a small ship means status for a small clan with enough personal wealth to aboard a private vessel. Clan vessel captains are not subject to dismissal by the Admiralty. Abusive captains are a family problem if they do not disrupt the operations of the fleet. Isn't that what Turkey's government's supposed to be like? How they regularly have government mandated military coups? Yeah. Law and defense, which isn't a heading we've had on any of these others. Although the Conclave establishes civil law as much as any planet-based democracy, enforcement and trials are more unique. After the flight from the Geth, there were few constables to police the millions of civilians aboard the fleet, so the Navy parcelled out Marine squads to maintain order and enforce the law. Today, Quarian Marines have evolved training and tactics akin to civilian police, but remain adept at combat in the confined spaces of the starship and fully under the command of the military. Once taken into custody, the accused is brought before the ship's captain for judgment. While the ship's council may make recommendations, tradition holds that the captain has absolute authority in matters of discipline. Most are lenient, assigning additional or more odious maintenance tasks aboard the ship. Persistent recidivists are accidentally left on the next habitable world. This practice of abandoning criminals on other people's planets is a point of friction between the Quarians and the systems they pass through. Captains rarely have another choice. With space and resources at a premium, supporting a non-productive prison population is not an option. Because we can't have restorative justice. In the early years, many Quarian freighters were armed and used as regular privateers. Civilian ships still show a strong preference for armament, making them unpopular targets for pirates. Though they've rebuilt their military, there are still mere hundreds of warships to protect tens of thousands of ships. The Quarian Navy follows strict routines of patrol and takes no chances. If the intent of an approaching ship can't be ascertained, they shoot to kill. The Pilgrimage. When Quarians of the migrant fleet reach young adulthood, they must leave their birth ship and find a new crew to accept them as permanent residents. To prove themselves, they must recover something of value. This is offered to their prospective captains, proof that they will not be a mere burden on the shoestring resources of the ship. This process is called the Pilgrimage. Stripped of ritual, the Pilgrimage is merely an attempt to maintain genetic diversity within the small, relatively isolated population bases that make up the migrant fleet. If the young stayed and married within their birth vessel, the risk of inbreeding would increase sharply. Quarians are surgically fitted with their various immunity-boosting implants in preparation for leaving on pilgrimage. Having grown up within the sterile, controlled environments of migrant fleet ships, Quarians have virtually no natural immune system. A thing that is very rarely touched upon. And religion. The ancient Quarians practiced ancestor worship, even abandoning faith for secularism. Quarians continued to revere the wisdom of elders. As time passed and technology advanced, they inevitably turned their knowledge to preserving the personalities and memories of the elderly as computer virtual intelligences. These recordings became a repository of knowledge and wisdom stored in a central databank and available through any extranet connection. Also, this is not how sterile works. Yeah. They held no illusions that this was a form of immortality. Like all virtual intelligences, their electronically preserved ancestors were not truly sapient. This was considered a surmountable problem. Sapience could surely be reduced to simple mathematics. The Quarians began exhaustive research into creating artificial intelligence, so they could learn to escape the bounds of mortality and give their ancestral records true awareness. Unfortunately, the life the Quarians created did not accept the same truths they did. The Geths destroyed the ancestor databanks when they took over. In the centuries since they evacuated their homeworld, most Quarians have returned to religion in various forms. Many believe that the rise of the Geth and the destruction of their ancestors were chastisement for arrogantly forsaking the old ways, venerating self-made idols. Others have a more philosophical outlook, believing that their race was indeed arrogant, but no supernatural agency lay behind the Geth revolt. Rather, the Quarians' actions wrought their own doom. Either way, every Quarian would agree that their own hubris cost them their homeworld. I keep scrolling down and just being like, God, there's so much here. Non-sapient creatures. Husks. After the Geth secure a location, they round up and impale dead and living bodies on mechanical spikes. The spikes rapidly transform these victims into withered husks, extracting water and trace minerals and replacing them with cybernetics. The cybernetics reanimate the lifeless flesh and tissue, transforming the bodies into mindless killing machines. Alliance. Some Alliance soldiers refer to the husk-generating spikes as dragon's teeth, a reference to the mythological berserkers who sprang up from the earth wherever the teeth of Dragonaries were planted. Dragon's teeth and husks bear little resemblance to other pieces of Geth technology. No one's sure why a synthetic race would bother to drain the minuscule amount of recoverable resources from organic corpses, though the value of reusing them as shock troops is obvious. Animatronic zombies, yeah, entirely. Thresher Moors, the end of several of my lives last game. Thresher Moors are subterranean carnivores that spend their entire lives eating or searching for something to eat. Threshers reproduce via spores that can lie dormant for millennia, yet are robust enough to survive prolonged periods of deep space and atmospheric re-entry. As a result, Thresher spores appear on many worlds, spread by previous generations of space travellers. The body of a Thresher never entirely leaves the ground, only the head and tentacles erupt from the Earth to attack. In addition to physical attacks, Threshers have the ability to project toxic chemicals and emit bursts of infrasound as a shockwave weapon. The Alliance first encountered Threshers on the colony of Akuz. We were there in 2177. After contact was lost with the Pioneer team, Marine units were deployed to investigate. The shore parties were set upon by hungry Threshers, and nearly the entire assault force of Maraz was killed. Alliance forces recommend engaging Threshers with vehicle-mounted heavy weapons, and we did that a lot. Varen. Varen are omnivores with a preference for living prey. Originally native to the Krogan homeworld of Tuchanka, they are, like most life from Tuchanka, savage, clannish, and consummate survivors. Wow, way to just open by calling the Krogan savage again. They're pack hunters when vulnerable prey is readily available, and become scavengers when outnumbered or outclassed. Their supreme adaptability, vicious demeanour, and rapid breeding cycle have made them ubiquitous and dangerous pests on many worlds. Virtually everywhere the Krogan have been, Varen infestations have followed, wreaking havoc with the native ecology. The Krogan have had a love-hate relationship with Varen for millennia, alternately fighting them for territory and embracing them as treasured companions. To this day, Krogan raise them as beasts of war. A common subgenus of Varen have metallic silver scales, leading to the rather unusual nickname fish dogs. Now for something that's definitely new, Project Overlord, which we know nothing about, really, yet, on account of we haven't gone and done this. This is one of the DLCs. But we know what planet we've been sent to. 2 beautiful moons, 1 spectacular ring, 0 neighbours, says a popular advertisement for this Terminus Systems world. I don't know. IT is known for its sparsely settled population, despite being a garden planet with a colony nearly a century old. Blessed with a mild climate, wildlife no more dangerous than that on Earth, and soil and bacteria amenable to imported plants, IT would appear to be an unexploited paradise, like words. However, it's unpopular for 2 reasons. The first and most obvious is that its moon, Litai, is in an unstable orbit that will lead to a planetary impact in an extinction-level event within the next 2 centuries. As such, all investment in the planet is short-term, and the biggest business is selling off the local biota to the highest bidder. The second drawback is the level of violence on the planet. Like the rest of the Phoenix Massive Cluster, Ite was briefly considered part of Citadel space during its first wave of colonization. However, when the colony broke off to become an independent planet in 2133, the Council let the doomed planet go with less than a day of debate. Free from any real governing body, Ite's history has since been filled with wars between small frontier town city-states over its resources. The result is a dangerous world where the average citizen is expected to be self-reliant to the point of fending for themselves against cutthroat corporations, strong-arm militia groups, and even Geth incursions. The fighting is so frequent that the name of the planet itself has changed more than 11 times. In a sign of blunt indifference, standard Citadel galaxy maps refer to the world by the name given to it in human colonists in the latter half of the century. The Citadel, and specifically the Battle of the Citadel, we were there too. Actually, it's an at-will employment planet. Yep. In 2183, a rogue spectre named Sauron Arterius attacked the Citadel through a functioning mass relay hidden inside a statue in the Presidium. It wasn't really hidden inside a statue, it was more just standing there and people thought it was a statue. Sauron brought a combined force of Krogan and Geth infantry from Ilos, timing the attack so that he'd be at the Citadel's controls when the Geth fleet and his flagship Sovereign arrived. In the battle that followed, the Destiny Ascension dreadnought evacuated the Citadel Council, but ordered the ward's arms closed, sealing them and the Geth inside an impregnable shell, cutting off any reinforcements or escape. This combative tactic would have wholly destroyed the Council fleet, were it not for the actions of Commander Shepard, who had followed Sauron through the relay from Ilos. Led by Shepard's ship, Normandy, the Systems Alliance's 5th Fleet assembled under the command of Admiral Hackett and waited just outside the Citadel's closed arms. Meanwhile, Shepard fought Sauron's forces inside the Citadel and eventually forced the ward arms open again. The Normandy defended the Destiny Ascension as it fled, saving the lives of the Citadel Council. Taking its cue from the Normandy, the 5th Fleet supported the withdrawal and took heavy losses from Sovereign's advanced firepower. At about the same time Shepard killed Sauron, Sovereign's once impervious kinetic barrier overloaded, and the 5th Fleet focused its military might to shatter the flagship. The Geth fleet was soon decimated without its leader. In gratitude for the many human lives sacrificed to save it, the Council made the unprecedented move of offering humans the chance to become a Council race. Ambassador Donald Udina and Captain David Anderson accepted this honour on behalf of their species. The Citadel Conventions, which... yeah, let's see how much this actually reflects reality. These diplomatic talks occurred in the wake of the Krogan rebellions as a result of the destruction of the conflict in an attempt to distance the Council from the brutal Krogan warfare. The conventions regulate the use of weapons of mass destruction. A WMD causes environmental alteration to a world. A bomb that produces a large crater is not considered a WMD. A bomb that causes a nuclear winter is. Use of WMDs is forbidden on garden worlds like Earth, with ecospheres that can readily support a population. If a habitable world is destroyed, it will not be replaced for millions of years. The conventions do not forbid the use of WMDs on hostile worlds or in sealed space station environments. Why though? Many militaries continue to develop and maintain stockpiles. The conventions graded weapons of mass destruction into tiers of concern. Tier 1 is the greatest threat to galactic peace. So, on Tier 1 we have large kinetic impactors, such as asteroid drops with deorbiting space stations, effectively free and available in any system in the form of debris left over from planetary accretion. Kinetic impactors are the weapon of choice for terrorists and third galaxy nations. That's just... oh, that's just slightly cringe writing, if I'm honest. Third galaxy. Yeah, these are very much just written so that what we do happens to not technically be a war crime. Yes, because we did nuke Vermeer, which was a garden world by any definition. Tier 2, uncontrolled self-replicating weapons, such as nanotechnology, viral or bacterial organisms, von Neumann devices, and destructive computer viruses. These weapons can lie dormant for millennia, waiting for a careless visitor to carry them onto another world. Cough cough, genophage. Tier 3, large energy burst weapons, such as nuclear or antimatter warheads. So, that one we did on Vermeer. And Tier 4, alien species deliberately introduced to crowd out native forms necessary for the health of an ecosystem. Ecological tampering can take years to bear fruit, making it difficult to prove. Fruit pun. The Citadel Council. Okay. I was just debating whether to read this or not. It's barely changed. The Council is an executive committee composed of representatives from the Asari Republics, the Turian Hierarchy, and the Solarian Union. Though they have no official power over the independent governments of other species, the Council's decisions carry great weight throughout the galaxy. No single Council race is strong enough to defy the other two, and all have a vested interest in compromise and cooperation. Each of the Council species has general characteristics associated with various aspects of governing the galaxy. The Asari are typically seen as diplomats, mediators. The Solarians gather intelligence and information. The Turians provide the bulk of the military and peacekeeping forces. Any species granted an embassy on the Citadel is considered an associate member bound by the Accords and Citadel Conventions. Associate members may bring issues to the attention of the Council, though they have no input on the decision. The Human Systems Alliance became an associate member of the Citadel in 2165. And actually, yeah, that's not changed because that's still saying when they became associate members. The point of war crimes is they can happen during war. Yeah. Although I don't know if they meant hostile planet like that or hostile planet like ecologically or climatically or whatever, because didn't know if they were just contrasting that with quote-unquote garden worlds. But yeah, if they mean it like that, then you are absolutely right, and I was thinking the same thing. You know what? I bet a space lawyer has argued about the semantics of hostile. Yes, indeed. You know what? We are already 2.25 hours into this stream. I am going to start skipping entries we already read. If anybody wants to hear me read them, go back and watch, I believe it's Mass Effect 1, Episode 5, it's on my YouTube. Okay, Citadel Space, we've read that. Thing about CSEC divisions, we've read that. We have not read this. Foundations. The undersides of the wards between the inhabited superstructures and impenetrable outer hull are called the foundations. These dangerous areas are filled with life support systems and power plants. Officially, only the Keepers are allowed in the foundations. In reality, the foundations are the slums of the Citadel, home to criminals, minorities, transients, and occasional stateless exiles. Some stay in the foundations of their own will, others end up there when the opportunities they sought in the Citadel do not come. The station's recycling systems are located in the foundations. These manufacture a variety of artificial organic pastes and feed for sustenance. They're free and nutritious, but nearly tasteless and of unpleasant texture. Poorer Citadel residents quickly become adept at dressing up this bland fare with sauces and spices, while imported foodstuffs are a popular luxury of the wealthy. Read all of this about the Presidium Ring. Read about the Serpent Nebula. Read a whole list of statistics. Read all about the wards. And we read about the Treaty of Phyrexian. Oh yeah, absolutely. There's clearly been so many different writers working on this, on the Codex, because they really don't know what kind of overarching political view they want to take. Yeah, I really need to start skipping through these, because there's so much. We've read about Earth, and also we live there. We've read about the First Contact War. Yes, we have. I don't think we've read this one. Gagarin Station is the largest deep space station built by humanity, a Bernal sphere design with a 500-meter diameter habitable area. It was constructed beyond Pluto, nearly 80 astronomical units and 12 billion kilometers from Sol. Moving crew and material to this location bankrupted most of the backers. I've been on those Kickstarters. Gagarin was placed at the inner edge of the heliopause, the point at which the solar wind could no longer push back the interstellar medium. It was built to test a number of faster-than-light drive principles that theoretically could only occur in interstellar space. The station was nicknamed Jump Zero, as it was intended to be the jumping-off point for humanity's expansion into the galaxy. Shortly after the station was completed, the Prothean ruins were discovered on Mars, rendering the entire effort moot. After struggling to make a profit for a decade, Gagarin was sold to the Systems Alliance in 2159 for a fraction of its construction costs. The Alliance refurbished it as a research and training centre for the recently discovered biotic phenomenon. In 2169, the biotic acclimation and training program was shut down, and Gagarin became a general research facility. Its remote location and intentional isolation from the extranet makes it popular for dangerous research, particularly in the field of artificial intelligence. Humanity's first stable AI, the Alliance-sponsored ELIZA, achieved sapience at Gagarin in 2172. Today, Gagarin Station has a permanent population of approximately 9,000. A plan has been proposed to move it to the gravitationally stable barycenter point between Pluto and the Charon Relay, allowing it to serve as a gateway facility between the Sol and Arcturus systems. The high cost of safely moving its mass has delayed this indefinitely. Yes, words. Genetic engineering, yes we did, and it was really problematic. Geological surveying, yes. Military doctrine, yes. Yes. Military jargon, yes. Yeah, I don't think there's anything new there. Military ranks, yes. Vocational codes, yes. The Terra Firma Party. Terra Firma is an alliance political party formed after the First Contact War. Its policy agenda is based on the principle that Earth must stand firm against alien influences. This covers a variety of legislation, you think. Recent activities by Terra Firma include opposition to a law requiring high school alien language study, a proposal to increase tariffs on alien imports, and leading a popular movement to mark the First Contact War with a public holiday. This is all feeling terribly familiar as somebody who lives in the UK in 2021. And now I've made myself sad. Though founded by well-meaning individuals who feared the submersion of native human cultures under a wave of alien vogue, Terra Firma's agenda attracts many jingoists and xenophobes. Yeah, my dudes, why is that paragraph there? Why do you have to be like, yes, there, it's a nationalist, xenophobic, fascist right-wing party, but it was made with good intentions. Why? Yeah. And we read the timeline, which now adds 2183, Geth led by rogue Spectre Sauron Arterius attacked the Citadel, resulting in ensuing a battle that cost thousands of lives. A few weeks later, the SSB Normandy is ambushed and destroyed, Commander Shepard presumed dead, and now 2185, current date. Yeah, there's that centrism popping in again. Planets and locations. And I won't read either of these because, frankly, these are just the kind of intro ones. Oh yeah, I've been in conversations with people who've said all that to me, and I'm just like, what? Yes, this is the kind of intros that we had last time. I'm pretty sure we've read them, and even if not, we are never going back to those planets. Publications. I'm excited. You know what's in here. Okay. First thing, Ascension. Written by human author Drew Karpyshyn, the popular military historical novel Ascension focuses on several lives warped or destroyed by the human survivalist cult Cerberus. Thank you, somebody, for actually calling it a cult. Following the Citadel attack of 2182. 2183, I just read a timeline. Just now. Just now. And the accelerated rise of human influence in the galaxy, Cerberus instituted Ascension, a secret biotics program aimed at producing a superhuman warrior. Biotics prodigy Gillian Grayson, a 12-year-old autistic girl, suffered for the sins of her father, a secret Cerberus operative and red sand addict. Historians disagree on the year. Wait, is that in here? 1 second. And we're back. Yeah, sorry, that was our smoke alarm going off for some reason. The house does not appear to be on fire, so... Where was I? Reading this book blurb. Ah, yes. Paul Grayson was ensnared in a web of criminality involving a Quarian traitor and extending to Sarin Arterius, the Geth, and a terminal threat to the Quarian flotilla. Having fled to the Terminus systems with his daughter after exposure of Cerberus' link to Ascension. Grayson was pursued by Gillian's teacher, scientist Kaylee Saunders, initiating a chain of tragedies that demonstrated Cerberus' nearly unlimited power and boundless ambition. It's because my wit is on fire. Thank you very much for saying that. I'm going to skip the next entry for now because these two kind of go together and I want to delay the gratification, I suppose. Revelation is a popular military historical novel by human writer Drew Karpyshyn that dramatises human conflicts and political expansion following the 2148 discovery of the Prothean mass relay on Pluto and the beginning of human galactic exploration. In 2165, years before his rise to political prominence, Lieutenant David Anderson was a young veteran of the Turian War, investigating the destruction of top-secret military research station in Shanxi. Every scientist stationed at Shanxi had been slaughtered except Kaylee Saunders, who disappeared with secret files, making her Anderson's prime suspect. The book traced Anderson's dangerous investigation of Saunders, which included run-ins with Blue Sun's mercenaries and a croaking bounty hunter. The investigation uncovered illegal research into AI and forced Anderson into an alliance with human-hating Turian Spectre Sarin Arterius, who would eventually enter into a genocidal collaboration with Geth. So yes, those of you who were paying attention during the credits at the end of Mass Effect 1 may recognise the name Drew Karpyshyn, who is literally the head writer on these games. And these are actual books. These are the official tie-in books that had been published at this point. I think there are probably more now. There always seem to be. And these are the stories of them, and they exist in our world. And if you want, you can go read them. I don't know. I'm not advertising BioWare. But most importantly in this section, Fornax. Launched in 2167, Fornax magazine described itself as the galaxy's finest xenophilia. By its 5th year, Fornax became the first human magazine to offer full 5-sensory stimulation, a previously unaffordable magazine technology made profitable by the economy of scale. With a monthly publishing run of 127 million available in both hard copy and direct download, Fornax offers a range of alien models with particular emphasis on the unisexual Asari, although both genders of Quarians, Drell, Batarians, and Bolus are regularly depicted. Specialty editions such as Genital Core and Krogasm serve as devoted but smaller markets. Really, this game's peaked. Sci-fi authors do always want, they always seem to be weirdly invested in you knowing what fauna's like in the future. And now you do. And this picture will stay with you for the rest of your lives. Enjoy. Let's move on. Ships and vehicles. The A61 Mantis gunship, which I don't remember, and we've not talked about, so... There's tentacles and 8 mouths? Sci-fi. The workhorse of mercenary bands throughout the galaxy, the Mantis is a 2-man vector-thrust aircraft that excels in close air support roles. Oh, this is the one he was flying in Omega. Highly modular in construction, the Mantis can be reconfigured as a low-altitude gunship, a fighter, a high-altitude bomber, or even a single-stage to orbit space plane that can engage enemy craft around a planet or space station. The only role that the Mantis cannot perform is that of a true deep space fighter, as it has no FTL drive. First rolled off the assembly lines in 2170, the Mantis remains in service in dozens of armies across the galaxy. It's most commonly used as air support in pitched ground battles, in a configuration that sports two pods for Inferno PKRs, or precision kill rockets, which I'd say was a ridiculous name if actual defense manufacturers didn't call things equally ridiculous names, and a chin-mounted M350 mass accelerator cannon. Its kinetic barriers, thermal decoy system, and electronic countermeasures suite make the Mantis far less vulnerable to surface-to-air attacks than previous generations of aircraft, and yet I still shot it a lot and it fell apart. Like most modern planes, the Mantis uses an Element 0 core to ease the load of the engines with a mass effect field, allowing it to take off vertically or hover in place using minimum fuel. This also gives it far greater range and speed than the helicopters and jump jet aircraft that once filled its niche. A Mantis can take off from Baton Rouge, reach Moscow in a few hours, fly a ground attack mission, and return home before having to refuel. Why have we specifically used the example of American soldiers going to bombard Russia? It's a choice. Now, all this stuff about how FTL drives work, we've said. All this stuff about how space combat works, we've said. Oh, we didn't read this bit. Trans-relay assaults, which is what I consider calling this channel. The crucial choice for any attack through mass relays is how to divide the fleet from transit. The accuracy of a relay's mass projection depends on the mass being moved and how far it's going. Any long distance and or high mass jump will see drift, that is, a ship may be hundreds or millions of kilometers from its intended drop point in any direction from the relay. Distance can't be chosen by admirals, but a relay is told how much mass to transmit. For example, if told to move 1 million metric tons of mass, the relay will scan the approach corridor, find 4 250,000-ton freighters, and transit them. I don't like that as transit as a transitive verb, ironically. Transit them together, maintaining their relative positions. A commander has the option of moving his fleet as one large coherent formation that may be wildly off position, or breaking it up into many smaller formations that will be individually closer to the intended attack point but could be widely dispersed. Conservative assault doctrine holds that fleets should be moved en masse, maintaining concentration of force and reducing the chances of collision. The only time it's reasonable to split up a formation is during blockade running. And again, we read all these things about specific kinds of starships, just clicking through so it'll take them off. And yeah, Apps Armor, Guardian, Mass Accelerators, cool, we read all of that. Technology. We read that. Read that. Read that. And that. And that. And that. And that. But not this. The haptic adaptive interface. That's really weirdly hard to say. Maybe that's just a me problem. Who knows? Advances in computing have done away with traditional input devices like keyboards. Instead, modern input peripherals are usually holographically displayed in front of the user at a height and angle for ergonomic ease. Machines that use this interface detect a user through a microframe chip in the user's glove that keys into the computer. Once a user is accepted, motion accelerometers in the user's gloves matches hand's location with that of a proportionate but smaller mirror set of controls inside the computer itself. As the user presses against the holographic force field, force feedback in the glove kicks in, giving a slight resistance. The person can then feel his way through using a touchscreen that isn't actually there. A simple toggle switch on the back of the hands allows the gloves to be turned off when not in use. Haptic interfaces have become so common that some individuals undergo cybernetic enhancement surgery to have the accelerometers implanted in their fingertips. Going bareskin is the sign of a committed computer user who no longer has to fuss with putting on gloves or cleaning them with alcohol wipes to get rid of the clammy hand smell. Okay, so A, this seems wildly inefficient. Like the thing with physical keyboards is they're actually attached and don't have to be independently powered. Like, you can just imagine being like, oh no, my gloves have to go on charge so I can't use any computer. And also, going bareskin is just a dreadful phrase. It's just bad. VI as we did. Let's talk about economics. The standard credit was established by the Citadel's Unified Banking Act as the currency of interstellar trade. The credit has a managed floating exchange rate, calculated in real time by the central bank, to maintain the average value of all participating currencies. Some regional currencies are worth more than a credit, and some less. Hard currency can be stolen or counterfeited, so electronic fund transfers are the norm. More importantly, physical transactions cannot be easily tracked, making them ideal for tax evasion or purchase of illegal goods. Wow. Talking of, we have a lot of writers on this team, and whichever writer happened to be working on this one, he's one of those Bitcoin stands, isn't he? And I say he, normally I would want to be inclusive, but I think we all know. When the Alliance joined the Citadel, its various national treasuries were linked to the credit network. A human with a bank account of Mexican pesos, Japanese yen, or Indian rupees can purchase any item priced in credits at fair market value. All economies that participate in the credit network are required to price items in both local currency and credits. Yes, we read about drones, yep. Oh, this is new, because security mechs are a new thing. The death of thousands of security and military personnel in the Battle of the Citadel was a loss felt throughout the galaxy. As large numbers of qualified personnel transferred to the Citadel to replace those that died, short-handed security companies filled out their numbers with large-scale use of unmanned security robots. Commonly referred to as mechs, the security robots are typically grouped into light and heavy varieties. Light mechs come in a variety of sizes, but are easily distinguished by opposable digits that help them in their versatile security roles. Heavy mechs lack digits and are simply weapons platforms intended to keep the peace in high-threat areas. The quadrupedal dog mech has a face composed of contraband detection sensors, and it too is armed in case a perpetrator resists arrest. Wow, there's a lot to unpack there. A typical security mech has an extremely limited virtual intelligence. Its duty is straightforward and narrow. usually to guard an area, run a friend or foe program to halt unauthorized access, and fire a set of pre-recorded voice commands to warn troublemakers away from the area. Light security mechs are equipped with irritant sprays and electroshockers to force compliance, and heavy mechs may be outfitted with flashbang stunners for similar purposes. When facing an opponent armed with a firearm, any mech will immediately resort to lethal anti-personnel weapons to neutralize the threat. This was written by Americans. If the situation turns violent rapidly enough, it may not even use its warnings. Well, this has aged well. Who am I kidding? This wasn't right when it was written. Security mechs are frowned upon for actual military duty. Though tough enough to survive most firefights, their VI simply does not have the programming to plan an ambush, rescue a hostage, treat a wound, or any of countless other objectives the soldier must be able to perform on the fly. We're getting there. We are getting there. Now for stuff that will be all new, because it's about the DLC characters. Assume it's secrets. Grey boxes. If you remember, she's asking us to get one of those. A mnemonic neural recall stimulator, also known as a grey box, is a device implanted in the brain to assist and prioritize memory. Originally developed to slow the progression of Alzheimer's disease, grey boxes function by helping the amygdala chunk incoming stimuli into recognizable pieces for memory consolidation. Each memory is assigned a shape or sensation from other memories, tying the concepts together into a block that's more easily recalled. When Synthetic Insights first released them onto the market in 2140, grey boxes were hailed as a way humans could level the playing field between themselves and the Solarians, whose natural eidetic memories gave them an advantage. However, because the implant procedure of a grey box requires the brain to irreversibly shift its workload over to the machine, software bugs or attempted removal of the grey box for maintenance purposes could lead to incapacitating brain damage, and really, when your master plan at any point involves the 3 words incapacitating brain damage, you should probably start again. For this reason, grey boxes soon became used only by those with dire need for photographic memories, such as researchers and spies. In 2175, sale and implantation of grey boxes were outlawed by the Systems Alliance following an incident with Abraham Rumoy, an employee of the Alliance Intelligence Agency. Rumoy was believed to be a professional conman and thief named Keiji Okuda, who accessed and sold classified data. However, prosecuting attorneys were unable to use his assistive memories as evidence due to the Alliance court system's prohibitions against self-incrimination, based on the Fifth Amendment of the old US Constitution, because America runs space, apparently. Rumoy soon disappeared off the map following his trial, further heightening suspicions that he was Okuda, and living off of ill-gotten gains. When found outside a human head, grey boxes are usually accessed with a specialized reader. A separate decryption key is almost always required, as users with data sensitive enough to require a grey box invariably install their own encryption. You'd think that. You'd think that people handling secure and sensitive data would always do the relevant security on it. You'd be wrong, but you might think that. And the planet Beckenstein, which is where we have to go and get her grey box from. More glittering than diamonds, more expensive than surgery, is how travel agents describe this planet behind closed doors. Given the opportunity to colonize planets after the First Contact War, the Systems Alliance chose Beckenstein to be their trading arm, producing goods to be sold on the nearby citadel. Cracking the vast galactic marketplace proved difficult. The first human product sold on novelty alone, then lack of demand hit Beckenstein's economy hard. Only in the second generation of colonists did the planet find a sustainable niche in high-quality entertainment and luxury goods. Once brand awareness sunk in, aliens flocked to Beckenstein's many spaceports. The planet today boasts more millionaires and billionaires per capita than any other human colony. Though its crime tends to be white-collar and non-violent, Beckenstein is not without its dark side. Both its suicide rate and inflation are extremely high compared to other worlds. It sounds really weird to put them that way around. It's like, well, the suicide is bad, but on top of that, there's inflation. Unemployment is artificially low because few people immigrate to the expensive planet without having a job lined up. And the cost of living is so great that unemployed workers typically leave the kind of planets after just a few months. Those who stay see themselves as tougher, sharper, and more skillful than the rest, as well as capable of getting respect and employment on any lesser planet. As a popular song says, if you can make it on the back, you got 'em by the neck. Yes, we'll probably be ranting about neolib capitalism a lot while we're there. Like I can barely even remember the mission, but just from that description. And all this new stuff from Zaid's thing. The M451 Firestorm Flamethrower is a product of human ingenuity, ruthlessness, and industrial espionage. Its origin dates back to the 2160s, when human colonists in new planets used flamethrowers to clear vegetation or ice. Because, really, when you've just landed on a new planet, the first thing you want to do, I find, is immediate scorched earth. The fuels performed erratically on planets with extremely cold temperatures and differing air compositions from Earth. Realizing this could be a problem for military units, Systems Alliance intelligence operatives stole the Turian design for the Higher-Ass Flamethrower, a battle-tested workhorse that functioned in nearly every environment. The result was the Firestorm, an anti-personnel and anti-armor flame unit that can accept a variety of liquid fuels. The Turian design used low-octane hydrocarbons thickened with dentra oil, which is taken from large marine animals similar to Earth's whales. Humans then reverse-engineered a synthetic composite with almost identical properties that could be fabricated from heavy weapon fuel cells using an Omni tool. The result is a sticky spray that burns at approximately 1600 degrees Celsius, a less intense fire than plasma weapons, but covering a significantly wider target area. Also, I'd argue 1600 degrees is intense enough. Adding to the trauma is the choking smoke produced by the spray, and if the target's armor is breached, the fires quickly consume the oxygen within. The Firestorm may not be the most efficient weapon in the Systems Alliance arsenal, but the sheer ugliness of how it kills ensures it is the most feared. Oh, you only just realised your stream was paused during the break. I mean, it's only been like 15 minutes, but still. Oh no. The full history of the Blue Suns, which, I mean, we've not got the normal history of the Blue Suns, but sure. Founded in 2160 by the human mercenaries Zaid Masani and Vito Santiago, the Blue Suns were initially a Skillian Verge protection racket. As they expanded in numbers and influence, the two co-founders disagreed vehemently on many issues. Never work with your friends. Finally, after arguing about whether to recruit slave-trading Batarians into their ranks, Vito ambushed Zaid and shot him in the head. Believing Zaid dead, Vito took full control of the Blue Suns and hired whatever Batarians he pleased. Soon he'd crowned one named Solemn Dal Sarah as titular head of operations. It was a move designed to placate his Batarian investors and draw fire from would-be assassins. It worked on both counts, and the partnership has lasted to this day. Over the decades, the Suns grew into a fearsome combat force spanning dozens of planets in Citadel space, the Verge, and the Terminus systems. Knowing that a good logistical team is key to fielding an army, Vito diversified the Suns, selling arms, training, and supplies as often as taking contracts to crack skulls. Even when the Suns suffered heavy losses, Vito's entrepreneurial expertise ensured new recruits could replace the old. All that was lost was the truth. Today, only a handful of trusted mercs even know who Vito Santiago is, let alone his old partner, Zaid. No, you're not done. And about Zoria, where we went, and killed a lot of people. Bring firearms and antihistamines, is what veteran guides say about this lush garden world. First colonized in 2160, Zoria's temperate and tropical zones are overrun with plants and fungi of all kinds. As a result, the air in most habitable areas is choked with pollen and spores that range from benign to deadly. The scattered colonies across the planet have resorted to clear-cutting and slash-and-burn farming to create habitable zones, and the more rural areas where the spores are thickest are populated only by Vorcha. Lax ecological laws allow mining and manufacturing industries to flourish and pollute cheaply, as the planet's carrying capacity far outstrips the current size of its colonies. Zoria is also home to the Blue Suns military company, who dominate the colony's security forces. The Suns enjoy nearly unlimited influence with local politicians and judges, ensuring no other private military contractors can compete with them economically. Nearly every colony has a Suns recruiting station, if not a training camp, though this has hardly made the planet any safer. Piracy, drugs, vice, and political violence are commonplace. And your final section. We did that. We did that. We did that. Wait, did we do that? Yes. Ah, see, we did small arms before, but things have changed, as you might have gathered from me complaining about it for the last two streams, so here we go. Modern infantry weapons are micro-scaled mass accelerators, using mass-reducing fields of magnetic force to propel miniature slugs to lethal speeds. Nearly every gun on the battlefield is laden with features, from targeting auto-assist to projectile shavers that can generate thousands of rounds of ammunition from a small internal block of metal. It was long thought that personal weapons have plateaued in performance, but the Geth proved all theories wrong. Mathematically reviewing their combat logs, the Geth found that in an age of kinetic barriers, most firefights were won by the side who could put the most rounds downrange the fastest, but combatants were forced to deliberately shoot slower to manage waste heat or pause as their weapons vented. To eliminate this inefficiency, the Geth adopted detachable heat sinks known as thermal clips. While organic arms manufacturers were initially doubtful this would ever produce a net gain, a well-trained soldier can eject and swap thermal clips in under a second. Faced with superior enemy firepower, organic armies soon followed the Geth's lead, and today's battlefields are littered with these thermal clips. To combat this inefficiency, they introduced another inefficiency. Yeah, that is very much just we wanted to change the systems and now we need an excuse. So let's write ourselves something. And that's the Codex. Wow, it only took us nearly the entire length of the stream. Should we go and find a mission to do before I go away? I think we should have some actual space adventuring in this space adventure episode. Oh, what are we doing? I swear I had a plan for if we... Ah, yes. Just while I was in this cluster anyway, doing Zaid's thing, the start of the Firewalker DLC, which was a... It was a smallish, I believe it was free DLC, and really you want to do it before one of the other DLCs, as it trains you in a few of the systems involved, and it's pretty short. I'm just going to quickly scan it. Just go and scan. Not even scan really, just look at everything so that the completion meter goes up, because I think we all know my view on numbers in this stream. They should go up. Got an achievement for visiting every planet in the cluster. But really, did I need an achievement? When I have numbers going up. And you need to scan to find the mission. There you go, there it is. Scans have just located the Hammerhead exploration vehicle and also show active data storage sites that may contain information as to the whereabouts of Doctors Case and Aloy. Numbers do indeed go up. Only way they can go. We once thought numbers had been observed to go down, but it turned out to be a recording error. Who are we taking? Let's take Garrus. And I'm going to take Zaid, because while he's awful, he's also loyal, so he's got extra powers available. And he's got a new look. We may as well check out the new look. can't spend anything on him, but he can take an extra level in Inferno Grenade. And yes, I was taking the arc projector out for a spin. Might overrun a little bit, but I just want to actually play some of the bloody game. So this looks very reminiscent of Therum. Yeah, it gives Aid an extra level in War Crime. Journal updated. Search for data. Well, there's something I can poke here, so logic suggests I should poke it. This right here was the main draw of this DLC. Okay, Zayd's new armor at least looks cool. This was the draw. We've taken the Mako out of the game. So apparently the VI is talking to me. I cannot hear it. That's exciting. Yes, we took the Mako is not in this game, and people had mixed feelings about that on account of lots of people hated it, but it was still iconic. So in like I said, I believe it was free DLC, they added the Hammerhead. And now we have a tutorial mission where we learn to drive it and scoot around collecting research. And we jump! Mako couldn't do that. Actually, no, the Mako could absolutely do that. You just couldn't choose when it did it. Aha. Oh, I know where we can't hear anyone. It's because dialogue volume's still on 0. It was just so the codex wouldn't talk over me. Because they changed that from being classed under sound effects to dialogue. Just to confuse me. It's not totally clear what the research I'm picking up is.
Obstruction detected.
Hey, I can hear it now.
Path is now clear.
Correct. And yes, this can turbo boost and it can jump, and it only has rocket launchers, and it hovers. And it is all round pretty cool. But it makes me miss some of the Mako's idiosyncrasies. I don't think this is ever going to suddenly do a barrel roll in the middle of the road. Cool, can't glide that far. Hello, raid from Microstream. Very good to see y'all again. You have missed 2 3/4 hours of me reading the codex. That very much happened. And now you're tuning on for the last 15-20 minutes of me actually playing this game. We are doing one of the smaller DLC pieces just because it's a solid thing to get out of the way early on. I know this because I've been reading guides on what to do the DLC in, because I like to be prepared for all the else. yeah, it's been relatively chill apart from the fact that so much of the codex and the general world building in this game is intensely politically problematic. So there's been a lot of me reading the codex and then just going off on it. You've been destroying capitalism through gambling your own money. Well, actually that sounds excellent, because according to this, in 100 years, neoliberal capitalism will have taken over the galaxy, so probably best to destroy it now before it can do that. I said this thing was less idiosyncratic than the Mako, and that doesn't mean it doesn't still have its own problems, and also it's very difficult to do an actual landing that doesn't just involve you going bonk. Which seems like a design flaw that they maybe should have looked to when they were building this vehicle in the world of the game.
That should do it. Mission objectives completed.
Okay, press now would have to end the mission. Okay, what information did we gather? I have genuinely no clue what's... Oh! There's an invisible wall there. And you can fall as far as you like, same as in the macro. Okay, I guess we're done? Question mark? You can't just say you've gathered all this information and not actually say what information it is, because at that point it's not information, it's just plot coupons. Sure, we leveled up through those plot coupons. Found the wreckage of the MSV Rosalie, M44 Hammerhead acquired, recovered research data. So what, have we just gone, well, there's a wrecked ship here, guess the people we were looking for were dead, let's take their car. This is what happens when you work for Cerberus, is they just don't have the kind of investigative rigor. Okay, I know I said one mission, and we're gonna overrun a bit, but I want to do a mission that actually feels like we've done something. I mean, yeah, it beats walking. It's cool having a hover tank. You can get a hover tank. It's just the way...
Fuel at 1/2 capacity.
Yes, I know, thank you. I will buy more fuel. It's just the way that there's, like... They've not even actually said anything. There's just been that kind of implicit moment of, well, guess they're dead. See, I want to do... Oh, right, there's more Firewalker stuff over here. Right, there are more missions, if that's the word. So let's go and do one of those, why not? All together now. Choo! And here we are. I'm just going to quickly examine each planet so that the number can go up. I don't actually care about any of those because I'm going to a different system. I must say, I'm not 1,000,000% sold on the new navigation system they've used in the second game, but I mean, I have no strong feelings about it. It's just like, yeah, this is certainly a system that exists. They've added fuel for
Anomaly detected.
Particular reason. Anyway, let's...
Probe launched.
Wow, did I just land on the mission accidentally? No, we're still... which way? But I mean, I say all of this, I still do enjoy the scanning. Unlike
Probe away.
apparently everybody else
I
who
have
played
found
Mass Effect
something.
2. Oh cool, apparently there's a gas presence on the thing. We might actually get to shoot the occasional shot in this game. I'll take the same team, because why not? It's not like I very much doubt we're going to be doing anything outside of it. Ooh, what am I doing? I'll make my cryo ammo slightly better. And Gareth can't spend his points on anything. Cool. Again, we're not going to be doing any combat outside the Hammerhead, that's what it's called, Firewall, that's the DLC. It's certainly a more graceful landing than the Mako. And it's also a more graceful landing than any landing I will ever make while actually driving.
Scanning for mission objectives.
Search for Dr. Case's survey sites,
Mission
recover the data
objectives
within, shoot a bunch of gas, you know how it is. Also, this doesn't have a main gun and a rocket launcher, it just combines the best of both worlds into a rocket launcher with a truly ludicrous rate of fire. Although I still wish I had a radar, I have literally no clue why they took that out. Whoa. See, where's it drop stuff? I'd know this if I had a radar. Okay, Colossus. From the skies! Yeah, remember how tough it was to destroy Colossi with the Mako? Also, did I just see that rocket curve? Are these seeking as well? This is a really weird control system of actually picking things up. You have to hold right mouse, and that will slowly pick things up, but also make them jerk around all over the place. Yeah, we left the GPS in the Mako, and the Mako got destroyed on the first Normandy. Yeah, we're meant to be recovering artifacts from these dig sites, but we're also blithely using a lot of explosives around them.
Warning, Geth forces detected.
Yes, I know, thank you. A procedure which I find is often frowned upon in archaeology. Just very few reputable archaeologists use rocket launchers. Okay, stop. What are you doing? Oh no, bad times, bad times, bad times.
Hull integrity compromised. Please move the vehicle away from the acid.
Well, I panicked. I know I hid it very well, but I panicked. Also, there's something ridiculously comical about that. Please move the vehicle away from the acid. Yes, they use blasting caps in dig sites, but there's a difference between deploying blasting caps to excavate things and then detonating them, and repeatedly firing a rocket launcher directly at a dig site.
Scanning for mission objectives.
That seems far more likely.
Mission objectives located.
But yes, the reason I panicked at first was, I mean, apart from the bit where I was getting shot a lot and on fire, was, yes, these are seeking rockets. Unfortunately, you don't seem to have much control over what they seek. And I was firing directly at the Colossus, and it was curving away to hit a destroyer next to it. And I was like,
dropship detected.
that's not how... But luckily, it means I can do some A+ in direct fire like this. Although that said, this doesn't seem to be actually doing any damage. Hi-oh! Is it the same thing, Soph? Is it?
Acquired.
Yeah, like I say, the actual interface of picking things up is weird, because it's just hold the button and your thing will jerk around wildly and you have to actuate your movements to keep it within the zone. And it's just like, who thought this was a good idea? Who pitched that? Okay, let's see if we can stay away from the acid. Also, can we quick save? No, we cannot. That would make this far too easy.
Warning. Geth forces detected.
Are these going to decide to hit? See, they're curving into it, but not actually doing the damage like this. Oh, no, maybe they are. Wow, this feels cheap as hell.
Acquired.
Right, where's the next one? Can I quick save now? I very much cannot. I'm just going to assume I can't quick save, and then when I die, I'll just have to do it all again, and you'll all have to watch me. Who am I kidding? If I die, I'm just going to end the stream.
Warning. Hostile forces approaching.
Yes, I know the system. Okay, those aren't seeking. Can they please? If you're going to have seeking rockets, can they actually maybe seek? Well, this is enthralling combat mechanics, let me tell you. Cool. Oh, and you.
Acquired.
And where's the next one? Come on, that's 3 out of 5. Is it up this way? Is there anything up this way? Make a boost, under. Oh yeah, there's over there. Is this just back to the original acid thing, or is this a different thing of acid? That's the one I wanted for. Boost! Oh, you can air dash as well. That's exciting. Which I did. I jumped way too early. I think that is how you meant to get across there as well. I don't know, Emily, did you miss something? Yeah, no, the acid thing was, I drove into this acid and died, and the voice line was funny, because the thing was saying, warning, please move away from the acid. And it amused me, and we were riffing.
Extraction complete.
Okay, that was some spare platinum, because I don't already have so much of that.
Geth dropship detected.
Okay, the boost and the jump are on the same meter, that's good to know. Seeker snipe time. Seriously, this feels cheap as hell, but I mean, I'm not going to stop. Because, as we saw, trying to do it a reasonable way led to death.
Acquired.
Now which way? Yeah, so can I just go on record here in full view of Twitch as saying that you taking acid and dying would be bad. Ha! Your rockets don't seek, but mine do. Take a dash at this. It's quite satisfying to drive.
Extraction complete.
That's just one platinum. Ah, there's the last one. Or is it? Is that one I've already done? It's not marked? Game. Why must you confuse me? Or is it marked? Oh no, that is marked. There's a massive pillar of light with a big arrow coming off it. I'm observing, I promise.
Warning. Geth forces detected.
I should probably have stayed on that platform to snipe. Geth Primes, remember them? There were like 2 of them in the original game. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, I'm panicking again. Okay, if I hide down here while I regenerate. Yes. See, they talk about all its other systems. Nobody mentions that it's a regenerating hover tank. That's cool. Can I seek snipe from here? No. Okay, as you were. I would really like... Because, I mean, I know I've said... I ragged on the systems in Mass Effect 1 so much while I was playing it, but there are a few things I miss, and one of them is a vehicle health meter. I would really like that. They've stripped back the HUD so much, and some of the things they've taken away would make a lot of sense to keep. Found 5 and 5
Mission objectives completed.
And we're good. Okay, well that was some actual gaming content for this gaming stream. Data recovered from planet's surface. Historically significant artifacts recovered, only lightly exploded. Dr. Case's location not found among recovered data. Geth presence on the planet eradicated. We got a small amount of experience. Right, and on that note, it is 15 minutes later than I would normally do the stream, so as I've actually played the game a bit, I think that's... Oh god, there's more stuff in the Codex. Well, that sounds like a problem for next Saturday. Yeah, I'd say that's us done for today. Thanks very much for everyone who came along and watched. Thanks very much everyone who stayed to the end. Love having you all here to hang out with while we dissect the questionable narrative choices that have gone into making these games. Thanks very much for the raid, Michael. Always nice having more people around. Always nice having you around. But now it's the outro. If you're seeing this, you know how to find me, but just in case, this is twitch.tv/Serasent. Serasent. I'm streaming, currently going all the way through the Mass Effect Trilogy, streaming Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 2 PM GMT, that's 9 AM Eastern Pacific. Other time zones are available, just most of my other viewers are American. Yes, so glad to have you here. VODs are on the Twitch channel, and they are being uploaded onto my YouTube when they are, really. I don't operate under a particular schedule for that. I am wildly unreliable. But my personal failings aside, they're going up on my YouTube, also at Serasent. I spell it out every time. It's on the title card that you'll see in a minute. If you want to keep up with any announcements about the stream and/or my random observations on the world in general, you can find me on Twitter at Wauce, W-A-I-U-C-E. I believe that's everything. Oh, this is my standard plea for followers on Twitch because I've nearly made affiliate. But apart from that, had to say it. Okay. Yes. In any case, love you all. I'll see you on Tuesday. Goodbye.